Hey everyone, welcome to episode 156 of the Toonami Escape podcast. I'm Greg Zeno. Tonight we have a packed house. B-dubs.
Oh shit.
Is what you've been saying all day.
Yeah, pretty much.
C-Kohler.
How's it going, guys?
Seda.
Hello.
And BB Boy 20.
We can smile again.
No, we can only frown.
You can smile again.
Jumping right into news, we know when... So, we thought Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin was going to replace Promised Neverland, but it's actually airing at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Because why not?
Because, reasons.
They don't want to move Black Clover back for some reason.
So there's two possibilities. Either another replacement show that is not a rerun will be replacing Promised Neverland, or everything is in the front of the block is going to move back a little.
My assumption is when Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2 joined, 5 weeks ago or whenever it was, it didn't really replace anything. It just sort of butted its way in, and that's what caused My Hero Academia to bump up to 10:30. My guess is that what they did is they added they're rerunning one episode of Hunter x Hunter so that The Promised Neverland and that will end at the same time.
Right.
My guess is Gundam will come in, they'll move My Hero Academia back down or something. Basically, start at 11 again. I don't think that there's going to be like a second show starting the same week as Gundam that we don't know about yet. That's my guess.
Yeah,
And then
it's hard to say, but yeah.
they said they had 2 more shows waiting that they wanted to announce, but they couldn't.
Well, SAO is 3 episodes away from ending, and
Right.
Attack on Titan is 5 episodes away from ending.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if those 2 shows are for those 2 replacements. So
It is strange, though, that they're willing to air an additional episode of Hunter x Hunter if its replacement is at the back of the block anyway.
yeah,
It's also like, it's like, why go through that effort to make them end at the same time if one of the if it's just
I mean,
it just feels like you don't actually need to do it.
Yeah, unless they're like, oh well, we don't want to have to make a special promo twice.
Well, do you even need to do a promo for that one weird week?
Probably. I don't know.
seems like they just wanted to do like one schedule change rather than back-to-back schedule changes.
That's what it feels like. I mean, I kind of hope that they just surprise us with an unknown show, but who knows?
Shield Hero.
I swear to God.
You guys keep saying that. The more you say that, the more I feel like you're going to make it happen.
Will it into existence.
We're just saying it because its likelihood is already terrifyingly high.
Every time I go to Crunchyroll, a pop-up appears in the lower right-hand corner, and I swear to God it asks, have you watched Shield Hero yet?
They paid for it.
Yeah.
They helped make it.
And also Crunchyroll and Adult Swim are like closer now.
Mm-hmm.
Buddies.
Just noting, the current schedule, I believe, has 10 premieres. That's a lot.
Yeah, the
So-
entire block is premieres.
Yeah, so I wouldn't really be like upset if it went down to 9 premieres. You know,
Yeah.
if they condensed it. So
I don't know that they ever wanted to stay at 10 premieres for any length of time.
especially now, like with Hunter x Hunter was a long runner. I'm sure we'll talk about this later. Now it's over. 3 years later, now they have that slot they have to consider more often.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
who's excited for Gundam?
At 3 o'clock in the morning?
I feel obligated to watch it if that's what you're asking.
Yes, I am also obligated to watch it.
So you get for being a podcast host.
Oh, I do have a question, though. I'm confused about this because some people are talking like this was an OVA that was split up into a TV show, but then when I read about it online, it was like they were talking about it like it was just a TV show.
Yes, it was an OVA. It was like a 6-episode OVA, just like Unicorn. They split it. They took a bunch of OVA episodes that were like hour and a half long, and cut them into 30-minute TV episodes.
And I believe the anime cut-up version is actually like just recently airing in Japan, like that cut-up version. Like it's
that's
like
what's confusing me, I think, because it was brand new.
Yeah, it might be still airing like that version.
And then the other thing, the other question was, is this something that used to be animated and it's being remade?
What I think yes. I am not a Gundam expert. Yes. I believe so. There's the original Gundam series, and then there's Gundam: The Origin, which was a manga retelling slash. Right. It's a retelling, but it has a little bit more before the original series that focuses on Char.
I would say it's a bit of a prequel to.
Yeah, it's like a prequel slash. Okay. It's a prequel that I think will eventually bleed into the original series. From
it's like the origin story of Char.
Yeah, but like it was animated like 30 years ago.
No, I think all the animation is new or new.
Well, I mean though, no, but what I mean was is this a reanimated? Is this like a redone version of something that was animated 30 years ago?
This is not a redone version of Mobile Suit. This is completely new.
Okay. Yeah. But the manga is like really old.
The manga.
I mean, you don't have to look it up.
From 2001 to 2011.
Oh.
So not brand new, but not 1970s.
Okay. Huh. All right.
I mean, not
the promo was confusing because they said that like they were like and all updated and with all new animation, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What he said.
I think they just meant like it looks good,
state of the art.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's fancy looking.
Maybe they thought it was a redo of like the original Mobile Suit Gundam.
Oh,
that would be funny.
DeMarco, like his Gundam knowledge or something.
Yeah, I would put. I bet that promo was written by DeMarco, so I doubt he's wrong about it. The guy's a big fan.
Yeah.
Fans get a lot of stuff wrong.
I don't think he meant it was like redone. I think when they like hinted or whatever that was like redone, they meant more the storyline than the art. But that's not quite true either. It's not. They're not redoing the storyline. It's supposed to be like expanding upon it. But I don't know.
Well, maybe it'll look pretty like whatever Unicorn.
Oh, it'll probably look really good. Just the thing I'm afraid of is that I'm just going to be at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be just like, oh,
space politics. That's exactly the kind of caffeine you need at 3 in the morning, right?
Yeah, it's basically the worry is, oh shit, this might turn out to be just Unicorn all over again.
Hey, it's half the length of Unicorn, at least.
And it's also much closer to the first show that I liked watching. So I imagine it can't be that bad if they can just stick with the connected tissues of the original, at least.
I mean, we say that, but,
It is funny that, DeMarco wants it on. He wants Gundam on there so bad, you can tell that, programming is like, dude, you would literally the only way we would let you have this on is if it was at 3 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, okay.
That's a pretty pessimistic statement to make, but okay. I mean, maybe he thinks it's a tactical thing. It's like, oh, people really want to see this.
Yeah,
they'll stay up.
It is only 13 episodes, and so it'll end before. I'm checking here. I think it ends before Super, and it'll end before Lupin does. So it's not going to be around that long.
Well, Lupin's going to be around for
that's a full half year.
It's pretty long. Yeah.
So.
When does Super end again? Like October?
I have written down October 5th. I haven't verified those. I haven't double checked those dates in a while, but that's what I have.
It's something like that.
That's soon.
Yeah.
I read somewhere in the threads though that They ain't gonna do like a 4th of July marathon or something?
Well,
Well,
they're
they
not
usually
going to
do.
because since Origins premiering on the 6th.
yeah, they can't. They're not, and they skipped the Memorial Day marathon too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
they haven't had marathon in a while.
So
Besides, like last.
I take it the end dates were like updated because of those lack of marathons?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't assume marathons. So like, it's not like I preempted them and then because we're not having them, I take them out. The way I do the end dates in the OP of the thread is I assume there are no marathons and then I add them if there is. I adjust if there is one. So
Right.
Okay. Shippuden's still like, emoji shrug.
no, it's 2000. I counted it. I'm not
Correct.
guaranteeing it's right, but sometime in 2024, assuming no marathons. So yeah.
Oh my god.
She put in real
Wait,
depth. Wait.
5 years.
How many episodes behind are we in Black Clover
Like
from
like-
where they are now?
from like the Funimation simuldub. I don't know, like 10 or 12. something like that.
From the episode airing in Japan.
Yeah,
Why?
because apparently there's 11 episodes left in this year of Black Clover, and they haven't announced the next yet.
Well, hopefully,
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Yeah.
Hey, fingers fucking crossed here.
It doesn't Black Clover do really well on like Crunchyroll? So yeah.
yes.
I have to imagine it does pretty well.
I mean, it doesn't do well enough to, spend money on it.
Okay, Black Clover just released episode 89 this Tuesday.
Okay, so
Today.
it's gonna end
We
at
just saw
about
75. So
okay.
episodes behind.
So we're
So
15 episodes behind.
I mean, if they don't announce more episodes, we're gonna end before the end of the year.
I doubt that's gonna happen. I bet they'll add more.
I
Maybe
don't
I'm
know.
just being pessimist.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean,
Not hoping a lot, but
what are you saying? It's going to end this season and not air next season?
Well, they have 10 episodes left, so
So we probably don't have a lot. Let's change subjects real quick. We probably don't have a whole lot more time to predict. So what do you think is going to replace Sword Art Online?
Mob Psycho season 2.
that would work because by the time Sword Art Online comes back, they can just slot it back in.
No.
Oh yeah.
That's
Shoot
like-
me.
Down and up and down again.
But that
Oh,
actually
yeah.
makes a lot of sense. I think that seems likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be like One Punch Man instead or something.
They don't have a reason to not air SAO. Like, we can sit here
Yeah.
and laugh at it as much as we like, but the fact is it probably gets them ratings.
They're
Yeah.
sitting here looking at these numbers being like, I don't know, these numbers look pretty good.
Yeah.
Exactly. The problem is the show sucks.
Yeah.
The problem is, plenty of people don't seem to view the show that way.
Because they're monsters.
We should talk about the plot.
Yes, we should.
Yeah.
My Hero Academia, episode 55, Class 1A. In this episode, Todoroki wrecks a couple of ninjas. And then Momo and some other dudes face off against, that woman from the meme where she looks around and has some equations?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's this one. Could you tell it's filler? Because it is.
Nope.
What? That's a lie. Obviously filler. It was so the thing that gives it away as filler isn't even the janky character designs. It's how it was written. The whole episode was just nonstop exposition, where the characters are like, if I do this, then this character will do this, and then they'll know this, and this will happen, but I can't let them do that. And it's just like they just go on and on and on, and it's like clearly not written in the same style as the actual manga.
So yeah, this episode was it existed.
It did.
I don't know what else to say. Like, pretty.
Well, okay, so a couple of things is, yeah, I mean, this girl with the high IQ skill, like, she's been defeated, so I'm sure she's gone, right? And her like lackeys, the ninjas are gone and they're lackeys, I'm sure. Is this a legit Froppy weakness that she shuts down when cold, or is this a filler invention?
Yes.
I think I don't know. I think it could maybe be legit if it ever came up later. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that ever happened outside of this episode. So
It hasn't.
Not yet.
Not
It's
yet, at least.
It sort of makes sense, but it's not implausible to think that sometime in the canon material they'll be in a snowfield or something.
yeah, that's what I was wondering. And the only other note I had about this episode was, what's this dude who turns people into like Cronenberg monsters?
Yeah, like
Like his quirk is that he turns people into little mush piles. I guess I can't really ask that question if you know the answer, but
So he's like Komugi's older brother.
I don't know. It's just weird.
I mean,
I did not expect this.
it would take is like one touch in your body to become mush. That kind of makes someone like already one of the most powerful beings around. If all it takes is one little touch to defeat someone.
Yeah.
This dude's got a very nasty JoJo villain stand.
Yeah. It does
Like,
kind of feel JoJo like, yeah.
Like, this is extremely disturbing.
Because they're like not even like they're like moving around. They're like, "Rawr." It's like nightmare fuel.
Yeah, they're just kind of going like.
It's got a creepy sound.
But this guy with this quirk though, he's not a filler character, right?
No, that once they get into weird, creepy flesh dude, that's canon.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Of course it is.
Yep.
Very bizarre quirk.
I mean, hey, did you actually think the guy? It's Bakugo and the DTL crew facing off against him. Did you think it was going to be non-canon?
Bakugo and the DTL crew.
Oh, look, all the boys with spiky hair, indistinguishable spiky hair are here.
Hey, at least somebody likes Bakugo.
I don't hate Bakugo.
Oh yeah,
I don't either. I mean, he's just annoying, but like
He is
Yeah.
a tool. I mean,
I
let's be real.
this episode also had like this one little moment where Eraserhead from the crowd was like really like talking up Bakugo and Midoriya, and it's hard to explain, but it like felt like a filler thing, just like having him like talk about these two characters are both leaders in their own way, and they other people latch onto that, and hard to explain. It felt like a fillerish.
It felt more like a bit of a fanficky thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the victory
Two
lap.
characters.
What essentially seems to be kind of a one-sided abusive relationship.
yeah.
It was sort of like telling the audience, this is how you should feel about these characters.
Exactly.
These are the people who are important.
I mean, look,
Yeah.
I know we're not very far into this arc, but I already can tell why people are like, this arc's not that great. Because I'm not feeling it, to be honest.
Kind of gets after.
It is funny that they use like the class's name as the title episode, what is mostly filler.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of felt like we already had like multiple episodes that seemed to emphasize the class itself. Okay, now you make a title about it. Whatever.
I feel like it would have worked way better for an episode later.
Oh.
Yeah, they should have
Really
called
now?
this episode like Stupid Ninja Guys and High IQ Girl Team or something.
Well, anyway, let's talk about some hype ass shit. Dragon Ball Super.
Super.
Dragon Ball Super episode 116, Signs of a Turnabout, the autonomous Ultra Instinct erupts. Okay,
Again,
I know, again, I know we shit on Dragon Ball a lot, but dude, this was hype.
this was the best fight in the arc. Like this episode right here.
Like, even the bad dub song couldn't totally ruin it.
Only mostly.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I still don't understand why they feel compelled to dub every song on this show.
Because they hate us.
Yeah, I
weird.
mean,
Because that's got to be a lot of work and cost money.
it is. I mean, maybe it's. I mean,
does.
licensing the OP and ending songs would also be money.
Wait,
So
these are the same songs. They're just someone they're hiring someone to record a new version. That's what's weird.
More generically, I understand it when like if there's like a character singing, you dub it.
Right.
In in certain situations because it's like that character voice.
Mhm.
But like if it's like the ending of the show or just this insert song that's just music basically.
The only thing that makes sense is that if they were trying to make Dragon Ball Super something that could air outside of Toonami, like
Yeah.
on any other channel,
Right.
then I could understand it because it'd be like, this is weird. Why is it in Japanese? But everything on Toonami, you pretty much expect it because it's like anime people are watching it.
Yeah.
So it's just unusual. It's not worth that much of a conversation. It's just strange that this is the one show that for whatever reason must be in English.
I think it's something to do with Toei. They, really took the reins of the show, I guess. Which is ironically apparently something that's happening with the Ava dubs and whatnot.
oh
but-
yeah, the saga of this Ava dubs of this Ava like Studio Kara just getting in there and being like, we own.
Yeah, you have to do it
We are
our
in
way.
complete control. Is like, and it's all stems from like they showed 3.0 at a con, and the audience went wild, but the Studio Car guy was there and was like, "No, this is unacceptable. This is a serious film.
We're serious men. Why are you cheering? Don't laugh."
I remember in the original Evangelion dubs, I think like in the original show, they called it Evas, I think.
Really?
Or
Whatever.
I might be getting it mixed up, but they pronounced Eva and Ava differently between the show and end of Evangelion. And it was really obvious. I might get flip flop which was which, but like I remember going from the show to the end of Evangelion, and they like started pronouncing that differently, and I was like, wait, that's weird.
I watched episode 4 today. I am watching it. Yes, ask me anything. But somebody said Eva.
Yeah.
I don't know how they pronounce it in the new version.
Did you see that thing where what's his face said that
you are worthy of my grace?
He picked the word Evangelion just because he thought it sounded cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's about right.
Well, anyway, hey, I do have one question for you, Grex. Is the opening in Japanese on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay, see that? Look.
It has cruel. Don't worry. It has Cruel Thesis untouched.
But they messed up the ending.
Well, that's Frank Sinatra. You don't.
No, it wasn't Frank Sinatra. It was a cover of Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
But yeah. I noted this in the thread when I was catching up because I missed a few weeks. But like one of the previous episodes of Boruto, they're like catching a fish, and it's it's just like a silly kid thing. But then like this insert song starts playing, and it's in Japanese, and like it's fine, whatever.
Right.
But I couldn't help but think at that moment, like, yeah, in this show they it's like if this was like Dragon Ball Super, like some in between arc episode, and they were catching a fish, and there was an insert song, would they dub it?
Yes,
yes, I think they would. That's what's weird. And here's what's even weirder is that I could see Boruto airing on like Disney XD, right? Yeah. And that would probably still have the Japanese lyric song.
What I think they might have done was just cut it out entirely.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But
in much
it
the
was
same
just
way how Toei, you know, or like 4Kids would be like, never show text on
Right.
screen.
Or anyway, we've talked about the song for
Yes,
enough.
I'm
Let's
sorry.
talk about the episode.
This episode's pretty cool. The fighting's pretty good, and the ending is real good.
it's after seeing enough beam struggles in the show, they basically took something that, well, first of all, let me just say that Elizabeth Maxwell, as well as the voice of Kale, who can't remember the name off my top of my head, she can scream pretty well.
hmm She's a screamer. Oh, that came out wrong. That came out wrong.
Yeah, that. Oh,
Oh shit!
I did not mean it that way.
yes. But yeah,
Cut that bit out.
look, I mean, the problem with talking about this episode is that it is just fight. It's just fighting.
Yeah.
They're fighting. The fighting
That
looks
looks
good.
good.
The ending is cool, where Goku is just like, it's like he can't dodge in midair. Zoop, and then the like point blank Kamehameha is so good.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Only I didn't really want to jump straight to the ending, but I guess that's the thing that sticks out.
Yeah,
But
I mean, that's the best part.
after seeing so many beam struggles in the show, it's like, how do you mix it up, make something memorable? And like, I think that was
That's
a
how you
pretty
do it.
solid way to do it. It's not unbelievable. It's sort of, and whatever
Cool.
the universe Dragon Ball follows, it's like, I can believe that it might work like that. That would be possible. So, sure, it was cool.
Unfortunately, there was still some frame issues.
Yeah.
It's so weird because then we get to Attack on Titan, which is also like super fast, high frame animation, and it's untouched.
Well, they do the dimming
Yeah.
in Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I noticed
It's
that.
definitely dimmed.
I think
Well,
they did it once.
That's also, I mean, they are airing it pretty soon, so they don't have a Blu-ray version yet.
Yeah.
Because like My Hero Academia doesn't have any dimming.
Yes, the dimming might just be because it's straight from the Japanese.
Yeah,
podcast,
it's
right?
a TV. It's a TV.
Yeah, we're
version.
not getting like the DVD version. Yeah.
But the weird
Blu-ray.
thing, I mentioned this in the thread, and I think you might have talked about this on a previous podcast. But the weirdest thing to me about the frame thing is like, we have never encountered this before. There's never been a situation before now that also would have required this. Like, I don't think these punch flurries that we're seeing, if they were at full speed or whatever, is like anything dramatically new and different that we've never seen before on Toonami.
No, I think it's I think this is something someone noticed something and spoke up.
Oh,
That's my feeling on it, because
That
again,
would make
I
sense.
also think it's the same thing that's driving all this weird dubbing. Something about Super, they're like being super careful with it. They're being like, well, can't have too much frame rates. We got to put this seizure warning up before the show airs.
hmm
Somebody's on their case about it. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess looking at it from their side, if even like one person does have a seizure and they can, like, with good, credible evidence, say that it was a show that caused it and they didn't have any measures in place, that could be really bad.
But I feel like it's only Toei doing
Right.
this, because none of the other shows on the block, like you said, no one cares.
It would be really disappointing if we got to Mob Psycho Season 2 and suddenly it's like, we had to cut the frames on the animation.
So dimming is not enough.
It's never
Right.
enough.
So in Japan, different stations will use different techniques. Some of them will, like we see a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's weird and scattershot. All I can say is, thanks, Electric Soldier Porygon.
Yeah.
You ruined everything.
What else?
Oh,
is
there was
new?
also the recent movies, like less than a year more so ago, about apparently not following up proper anti-seizure measures or something.
There was some movie that had this issue.
Yeah, like The Incredibles 2.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, now that you mention it,
There
like,
was
there was a
Right.
That's right, the scene with the
strobe lights.
screenslaver.
And there was another movie that apparently had this problem too. I can't remember what it is though.
But I don't think that like that movie was like edited or anything to like prevent that. I just remember people were actually like complaining about it. Like, hey, just so you know, this is in the movie. So if you have a history of epilepsy or whatever, you should be aware of this because they didn't, this isn't something that was advertised or, it was just.
Yeah, when I was going to the movies, I've seen like printed like warnings of it.
I think that came out afterwards, or I think that was after the first debut of it, and people realized, oh wait, we should probably let people know this is here.
Dude, you can't just put strobe lights into your film, dude.
It's weird because movies been doing this forever, and I've heard one post once that apparently there's supposed to be some sort of editing or engineering process that, I don't know, reduce the effects or something to like.
Well, I mean, big movies like that get screened for audiences before they're released, so they may have gotten a card about it or something. I don't know, but as far as Toonami,
I just never liked. Sorry.
Go ahead.
My point is that until last year, I've never heard of movies having this problem before, or maybe they always had the problem. It's just the last year is what there's finally a big enough voice for even people who don't have seizure problems to hear about it.
No, it's like it's like lawyer stuff. I'm sure it's just like, stuff that you see all the time on products where they're like, "Don't sue us,"
They just also for once, or maybe the first time ever, at least in America, they gave the lawyer stuff a megaphone.
Well, it just happens when I think that's just all it takes is one person to go, "Hey, we need to be careful here." Maybe nobody did it on the Pixar film but then they decided afterwards, they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, maybe we should have said something." I don't know. I mean, it's all conjecture, but like, what's weird about Toonami is that Toei, I think, is the company, is going crazy with the super stuff, but then none of the other shows on the block seem really to be affected.
It's so weird because it's impossible to tell specifically where stuff comes from.
Yeah.
Is the dub songs thing coming from Funimation because they think the Dragon Ball audience is specifically never wants to hear Japanese ever? Or is it like Toei being like, no, you have to dub our songs, except we don't make this happen. We don't make One Piece do this.
I know. And it's even weirder when you remember the fact that they did used to do this when One Piece and then stopped.
Yeah, they stopped because they were like,
what?
People do just want to hear the Japanese song.
Yeah.
But
I think it's just my guess is somebody at Toei is making these decisions. I don't think DeMarco or Adult Swim gives a shit. I mean, hell, they aired an entire evening of everything in Japanese.
Well, I don't think it's either a Toei or a Funimation thing. It's not.
Yes,
and I honestly lean more towards Funimation because, like, if Toei thought this was an important thing, they would do it for One Piece.
Yeah, I don't know.
True.
So, do you guys think that Vegeta has enough salt yet?
Yeah.
No.
I think he needs more seasoning.
Give him the rest of this arc, and then like most of whatever the next arc is.
Too much salt ain't good for you.
You see, his hair is not going white because he's an Ultra Instinct. It's because of all the salt on top.
Yep.
That's how he's going to try to achieve Ultra Instinct, just pouring a salt shaker all over.
To be fair, I mean, well, not to be fair, but like it would be clever if they for once let Vegeta do something before Goku. Like, why not mix up the formula a little bit? Let him get the power first.
What? Mix up the formula?
Are you kidding me? Like, we're lucky they did it the one time with Gohan. You think they're going to do it again?
Smash cut to Seacola getting thrown out of a building. That boardroom comic. Ninjas.
Hey, what are you doing? You're like scraping something against your microphone.
Oh, it's my shirt. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
So you want to move on to Attack on Titan?
Well, we didn't talk about.
Oh, go ahead.
How like the last line of defense for the Universe 6 now is Universe 6, right?
Yeah.
Namekians
Oh yeah, two Namekians. Ooh.
Ooh.
That's. I don't understand. I'm looking at that and I'm like, wait, why didn't you get rid of them before this so that the end of Universe 6 could be big and dramatic?
Yeah.
It's almost like they forgot. They're like, oh crap, we still have these two guys.
We forgot about the
God
Namekians.
damn it.
It's like, I totally believe that these guys are a better climax than, let me check my notes here, fucking Kefla.
You know, the legendary sin.
Don't worry, they're the legendary Namekian.
Yep.
I mean, they probably are in their universe, but yeah, that's probably not good outlook for Universe 6.
If you're not
That's
as sane,
the
it
case.
doesn't matter.
Well,
Are you
except, unless you're Jiren.
Or Jiren?
Yeah.
Also Frieza.
Nah, I don't. Nah, Frieza with all his gloating, I actually don't even think he's got anything going. Like he would be defeated in an instant right now by Goku. I feel like.
Well,
I could be wrong, but he just feels like he's just Frieza. He's gonna get beat.
maybe. But yeah, let's talk about Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan episode 54, Hero. In this episode, dude, just some fucking crazy shit. Man.
All right, Seda.
What didn't happen in this episode?
All right, Seda. I feel terrible for my words and deeds for not having remembered who Erwin was earlier in this season. Because this dude's like the greatest.
Well, that was the last episode where he had his final charge, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And, well, the charge was still at the very beginning of this episode, and you see how Marlowe kicks the bucket.
Yeah, you're just like, man, I bet she's just sleeping in.
Yep.
But yeah, like, only one dude survives.
Yeah, and of course it's the guy who was basically had given up. He's like, we're all gonna die, and nothing matters, and cruel irony. Now everyone else died.
Be a coward, and you will live.
Oh god, RNG and other media discussion.
You know what else is pretty cool? Levi.
Yeah, so the opening of this episode is basically the Beast Titan going, "Oh shit!"
Beast Titan's like, one man can't stop me. Oh Jesus Christ!
Oh god damn it! It's Levi.
You know why I like this episode? Because they didn't make the Beast Titan this unstoppable character. Like he screwed up, and I like it.
The Beast, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful feeling when even what seems to be the mightiest, like get toppled down.
Yeah.
Like the Beast Titan starts off when you first see him as like this, just like it's like, oh fuck. Oh,
well, heck, up until this episode, I thought that. I mean, the guy did seem like he
seemed like the boss.
He seemed like the end game and like the biggest deal, and like also super good at what he's doing. And then to have him be tricked and taken down by Levi is so rewarding as a viewer. I love it.
Yeah, like you can tell, like even so, he seems like the most confident being in the world. It's like his airheadedness of him questioning humanity's actions, like got the better of him. Like, why are you doing this? Like he, in a funny way, underestimated like humanity's true capabilities, even if what it technically came from one person.
It was a little bit maybe cliche where he's like, I don't know what you guys are doing. You're just gonna charge at me. I'm gonna,
No mere human could threaten me.
Yeah, you guys are just running to your deaths and whatnot. This is a pathetic last-ditch effort.
And then Levi just runs up like, Zawardo!
I was like, holy shit, it's an Ackerman, run!
So like Levi, he like corkscrews across the arm and totally demolishes it. Then he takes out his eyes. Then he like zooms around and cuts like his like Achilles or whatever. So the Titan
and then his
falls
like
over.
Head slams down so hard his like jaw goes.
And then he lands on the on his back and does like, I don't know how you explain it. Just like whirlwind of blades everywhere.
It's his ass out.
Now this is a plot important point is that he didn't kill him when he had a chance. He got that close to.
He wanted to keep him alive so he could find Aaron, turn Erwin. Erwin. They have similar names. Captain Erwin, turn him into a Titan, have him eat this dude, and then Erwin would be alive and be the Beast Titan, and then Erwin would be unstoppable.
Well, yeah, I knew in that moment that that was a bad idea, but I also kind of understood it because it's like if you just kill this guy, you're going to lose this valuable weapon.
I mean, they don't. Our protagonists still don't really even know the real story behind these guys, what exactly they're trying to do. I mean, they have Bertolt just telling them that sorry, you guys have to die. I mean, that's a different group, but that Bertolt's talking to, but they don't really know what these villains are doing or their plan or anything about them. So I understand Levi not just killing this guy because they need info. And obviously,
what are these baseball references you're spouting? Yeah, seriously, this dude is in this episode I'm going for the Cy Young.
Yep.
Perfect strikeout.
Did he actually say Cy Young?
No, I just made.
I didn't know if you were embellishing or if that was a dub embellish. I forgot, but
he's made
apparently baseball exists in this world.
Several blatant baseball references.
Yeah, we talked about this last week.
But yeah,
of literally moving like a pitcher.
I don't blame Levi for not killing him because they needed info from someone, and he thought, okay, there was no way that this can turn bad for me now. But then of course this pony Titan thing.
The derpiest of derp Titans comes along.
The derpy looking Titan that has the voice of Dr. Claw.
Yes.
I'll get you next time, Levi.
And you can tell in that moment that Levi is sort of exhausted because he's even he's kind of pathetically at that point. He's like, "Wait, come back."
Oh God damn shit! And I was so cool too.
Well, I mean, after all of that, I don't blame him for not being
he's still pretty freaking cool. I mean,
yeah. But...
So let's talk about the main. That was amazing, but then something else really important happens.
So,
there's two other things that happen.
Yeah.
So, not to be outdone in the getting fucked up territory.
Armin's toast.
Also, well, Armin was like, I'm doing this, I'm going to do this. But Rainer and Borto were like, we've got this. And then they super don't.
Yeah. No, they got clowned.
Oh, you're talking about the Aaron? Or you're talking about the Armin thing? I'm talking about Hanji being back.
Yeah, there's two other important things that happen in this episode. There's the thing with the Colossal and the thing with the Armored.
So, the Armored Titan. They're gonna try to get him by basically shoving two bazookas into his cheeks, making his jaw drop, and then Mikasa's just gonna she's going to shove a bazooka down his throat.
Yes,
literally. This is the coolest thing ever, but it doesn't quite work. Sasha gets hit by some rubble, and it's like, oh no! And then Hanji's like, I live, bitch, and it's like, surprise.
I like Hanji a lot.
Oh my god, who doesn't? She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I like Sancha too. I mean, it's too bad
People
she
were
got taken out.
Sasha can't go out like this.
Well, two different types of characters, but Hanji, I think, was sort of overdue for a hero moment, if you will, and that was it. He'll come back, surprise.
It's really funny how in the first season of the show, people were like, man, I can't tell any of these characters apart. They're all so similar. And everyone's like, I love all these children like the back of my hand.
I agree. I mean, you're totally right. I am there now. I'm finally at a point where I recognize all these characters and even know their names. So, for the most part.
I tried, figuring them all out from the start.
It's harder in the manga, where a lot of them do look exactly the same.
So I've heard.
Sometimes it's like, am I looking at John or am I looking at Aaron? I can't tell.
Yes.
I mean, they even play into that similarity.
I wouldn't be surprised even Aaron and Levi sometimes get mixed up and wait, who's who? You had to pay attention to their hairstyles. Oh yeah.
Am I looking at Bertolt or am I looking at Shorter Bertolt, aka Marco?
And then all we can say is, well done, Armin. Well done.
Well done, you.
Oh, Jesus!
Beautiful.
You are well done, my friend.
I didn't even realize what I was doing. I can't beat up because I can't believe you missed the chance to make that thread title.
I'm sorry.
Oh man, I would not. I mean,
Took you a while.
I would not be surprised if even Funimation was tempted to write that line down.
That would be pretty cruel.
Like Bryce Pappen was like, "Well done, Armin," and then he was like, "No, I can't.
No.
I can't do this without laughing."
So, but one thing though I don't quite remember is that I know that Armin was trying to stay close to the Colossal Titan, and that's what ended up, the heat of him ended up is what literally burned Armin to death. But what was the outcome of that? What happened?
So my understanding of it is the Colossal Titan has this power to basically sort of like burn his own body to create this steam and smoke that's like actually like can incinerate everything that's around him.
And that this is
the more that he uses it, the more that it's like actually like eating away at his flesh. And so there's sort of two purposes to this. One, the longer Armin can have him basically making the steam and eating away at his body, the thinner he gets and the more vulnerable he gets. And also it was a distraction to keep his focus on Armin while this was happening. Eren left his Titan body, got his gear.
Oh, that's right.
And to get behind him. Because basically Bertolt was focused on Armin, assumed that Eren was in his Titan body, knocked out or whatever.
Right.
But I think
But he was actually he created that crystal version and left it.
Yes. And not only was it a distraction, I think the part of it is also while he's sort of burning his own flesh away, he becomes more and more vulnerable, which allows Eren to actually basically slice the neck and actually be effective. If he wasn't burned away, it probably wouldn't work.
Like there's a time limit on how long the Colossal can stay active and use its abilities.
Yeah, they mentioned that
attack.
Aaron's Titan form is not very efficient. He can only transform like 3 times a day. And then the Colossal Titan is like, dude, you're getting 1 mile per gallon.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like Eren transforms, he can do the hardening thing 3 times. But the Colossal, it basically can do what it did just like the once, and then that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, he's pretty much done deal now that Eren snuck up on him. And I guess we're kind of almost to that point where we were with the cliffhanger at the end of last season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm just gonna take a guess here and say that Levi's gonna be like, here's the Titan juice, use it on Erwin, and then they're gonna be like, no, we're using it on Armin.
Oh, well, I was just talking about the fact that they were like, there was like a scene where they were fighting on top of the roof, and it's like, you let him die. And it's like, well, I guess this is it. This is who dies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you just saying what the next episode is?
No, well, I mean, I don't know if it's next episode, but we're like almost to that point. Because I think when we all saw that tease, we all just assumed that it was going to be Armin because he had like death flags in that episode. Yeah. Where he's like, I want to go see the ocean. And it was like, oh, dude, that's a bad thing to say.
Well, at the time, I wasn't thinking of a particular character. It might not even been a character, been something else at the time. But well, I guess you'll find out next week.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw
eventually. You'll find out eventually without pertain to.
Okay, so the teaser at the end of season 3, the first half. I don't quite remember exactly what happened, but I remember Mikasa jumping onto the roof and being very, very angry at Eren and it wasn't clear at that point why is this happening. We don't know what the conflict is here. And now it's Eren, not Erwin. Sorry. But now we know. It seems like we're in that setting again, and now we can guess that it has something to do with Armin basically roasting himself.
I remember when we saw that. Cliffhanger and talking about it's like, well, where's Armin?
Yes,
and being like, oh, maybe Armin died. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll admit, I did think of thoughts like these when I first saw that episode. So your deduction is it's a good one.
So
I mean, what other
all right.
character would Mikasa be angry about if she's yelling at Eren? Like,
How
what
could
other
you do
character
this to Connie?
Yeah. Yeah.
John!
Well, the tease wasn't really. I don't remember the tease even mentioned a person. It just mentioning
Well, they didn't.
to
because that
be
would've
vague about
totally
an
given it away.
action. Somebody committed an action that
No, they
somebody didn't
said
like.
she in the clip they said, "How could you let him die?" Those were the words used.
Okay. I didn't remember exactly what she said.
I remember that. That's why that's where all the speculation came from. It was like someone died.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll tell you right now, this show is pretty much proven itself like has a better outcome of quality than The Walking Dead at this point.
I mean, I've heard
So-
some things about where the manga goes from here, and it seems like it's not always great, but I'm enjoying where we are right now, at least. So
I
it's
mean,
very, very
Walking Dead
compelling.
never really recovered since season 2, while this show has managed to recover since,
yeah, it's weird.
filling that
Say that
hole up
this
with
is-
the rock. And what, Troth was it?
But
Yeah, remember,
I want to
Tross,
get back-
episode 10.
Troth.
I want to get back to a point that I think Greg Zeno made. Like, there are a lot of characters in this show, and I'm at the point where like I like a lot of them. Like we had Erwin go out in the Blaze of Glory last week, and that was compelling. We have Levi doing his own thing, and that was compelling. We have this Eren and Armin thing going on, which is this big character moment between them. We have Hanji coming back, and that's that was something that was cool to see. Someone that's not even in this season, or not yet in the season, that we've all, I think, gotten a liking toward is Historia. I think the show has done a really good job since season 1, kind of expanding the cast and making us care about these variety of characters. And I still like Jean, by the way.
It's
And it
unusual.
also acknowledging how annoying Eren is.
I think they're starting to play a little bit to Eren's personality, and like without changing it, but not by making it not so much the focus of the show. Like, I'm going to kill all the Titans. I think it helps that I feel like the show, the writing, is taking Eren's hot-headedness, and it's still using it, but kind of placing focus less on it as like the primary motivation that we're supposed to be empathetic for. Does that make sense?
Well,
It's not the sole reason that we are
they
sympathetic
clearly-
to our
using it the surface portion of hot-headedness as a storytelling clutch instead of actually diving deep into and trying to find the legitimacy of that, arrogance and hot-headedness.
Early on in the show, that was the only thing that we as viewers basically had in terms of like, why are we behind our protagonist here, is that we are watching Eren
Besides,
trying to get
like
revenge.
things
We are
mother
behind-
get chewed up and such.
Well, that's it.
You know?
We are behind Eren trying to get revenge, and while that on paper is fine, maybe it was maybe a little bit shallow. The character itself was a little bit maybe not so likable in a way, and he made some dumb decisions and made it hard to have him be like our sole connective point of empathy for our characters. But I think now that we've sort of spread that out across the cast, and Eren is just a part of it, and the fact that he was able to basically get his revenge by getting the final hit on the Colossal Titan.
Dude,
I
it's
think is
super
a good-
satisfying for someone to actually get like a physical melee kill on that asshole.
Yeah. Like, I think
Because every
it
time
worked.
before it was just like, we're gonna get him, and then just like
It works as a part of the whole, but not as the whole itself. Like if this show had just focused on Eren up to this point, and then Eren got the final kill here, it wouldn't be as satisfying.
Oh, no. They dodged a bullet. I mean, like the what made this show better, and what I was trying to say a minute ago too, is that this is an unusual case of where like a show starts off kind of mediocre and then gets way better. And I think the reason is, just like you said, they took the emphasis away from the protagonist and then they spread it out across all these characters who are actually a lot more interesting than him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made it so good. I mean, like, we like learning about Levi, we like learning about Erwin, we like learning about Hanji. Like, these are all cool characters, almost better than the protagonist, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's helped the show a lot. So,
and just to add on to that and to reiterate, I also appreciate that they kept kind of to their root in that they kept Aaron. Like, they didn't change his personality, really.
No.
They didn't change his goals. They kept it there. They didn't just like shove him off to the side or something when they realized, maybe that people don't like this guy or whatever. But I think the way that they sort of adjusted the focus while keeping that and maintaining that as part of it, I appreciate.
Yeah, essentially they kept the motivation, but they want to like evolve it rather than make it stagnant, I suppose.
I think this was the best episode of Attack on Titan.
You can make a case.
Could be. Yeah, I'd have to think about that, but on the surface, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, it's just the Levi's animation, the Beast Titan, the seeing Reiner, just the animation of getting blown the fuck out, and the silence of Berholtz's defeat, like 3 different ways of how to own the villain, different ways, but at peak quality.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive when you think about it.
This is a moment that the show has been building to, and it's in a sense has come. I don't want to say full circle because I think that's too simple. But the Armored and the Colossal Titan are things that are introduced in the very first episode or whatever, and we learned a little bit more about where they are. We've sort of gotten some background on the Titans. There's still enough mystery there that we still don't know exactly what's going on. But there's sort of this complete feeling that we finally got to this point. That
I mean, they're even back where they started.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. They're back where they started.
We're back
literally,
to
like they're at the place where
1.
it started.
Yes.
Yeah, but except on the other side of the wall.
No,
Well,
they're in
the
the
town.
They're in
the city where it started.
They're in the inner part. They're in the there's like 2 different walls.
Oh yeah.
No, but it's. Oh wait.
No, they're in the city.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But the last time Berthold was like behind the wall, creating that whole opening.
Yes.
And he gets defeated within the city this time. Right next to the hole he created, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it was Armor Titan 2 was in the city as well, but whatever. That's nitpicking. Yeah, but it's just kind of, you're right, Seda. This does feel like the climax.
Yeah.
Even though we know it's not. So
there's obviously still a mystery element now.
A chapter being closed, essentially, though.
Yeah.
Or an arc or whatever. Even so, something else was created, and they have to deal with. But what started this, at least, is concluded.
It's a little bit different than just like a Dragon Ball Z boss being defeated or whatever. It's this was stuff. This was basically concluding an element that is what you said, what kickstarted the story in the first place. It's like finally putting a bow to that. Literally kicked. Obviously, there's some lingering threads here. The Beast Titan, that guy whose name I forget, Zeke, is still alive. There's the basement thing. We still don't know exactly what their goal is. Bertolt was shouting about, sorry, you guys have to die, and we don't know why he said that. So it's possible that the underlying mystery, the answer to the mystery about like why are they doing what they're doing, it might be stupid as hell. I don't know. But so far, up to this point, it's pretty compelling.
Well then, you guys want to talk about The Promised Neverland?
Yes.
Okay.
The Promised Neverland, episode 11, 140146. In this episode, continuing tonight's theme of setting yourself on fire, Ray is going to set himself on fire. Kind of like the opening says, fire on fire.
Yep.
That still just ruins the opening for me.
There's so much fire.
But Emma's like, no, Ray, you can't do that because I've actually been planning everything this whole time.
not sure where to start.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I don't want to
because
say
this was
anything
a-
because I feel like I might say something I shouldn't.
'cause
So I'm
you know
letting
what
you guys
happens.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, you're reading the manga too?
Yeah.
You've seen the show and you're current on the
Yeah.
manga.
I think
Okay.
Rex has too. Yeah.
Okay, so
I've been
apparently I've
also-
heard that apparently next season is going to sort of go off from where the manga is.
I haven't heard that.
That would be weird and disappointing.
Well, anyway,
Like,
let's talk about the episode.
Okay, so Ray is shouting how he basically had been planning to do this the whole time. He set himself on fire. To his mind, this was the only way that.
And by the way, the stuff Norman was looking at under floorboards, under Ray's bed, it's the gas.
Yeah. But this was, in Ray's mind, the only way that Emma could escape was he had to basically be a sacrifice. That was what he was convinced of, was that he had to do this or else it was going to fail.
Well, not just Emma, everyone.
Well-
the goal was to light himself on fire so that Mom couldn't leave the house. That she would have to stay behind to protect them while they escaped, or to rescue him.
Except that Ray was never fully on board with saving everyone, right?
No, but he did concede in this episode right before he lit the match that he said, "I can't talk you out of taking everyone, so I won't stop you." But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and then we learn what we see as a viewer is we're sort of placed in Isabella's. We're basically following her shoes for a bit. Is that she sees the fire? She sees Emma basically pleading to Ray in the fire. She looks at her tracker device and she sees a blink in the fire, and so to her, Ray has set himself on fire, and she basically tells Emma to get all the children out or something like that. And
Right.
What we soon learn after that, I'm trying to remember the sequence of events, is that
She's like, "Wait, where are the sprinklers?" Wait.
I think the thing that she said that's basically the first indication that, like, wait, something's off, is like, wait, why are the kids wearing shoes?
That was the very last thing she said. But
no,
yeah.
I think it was first. Like, why aren't the sprinklers coming on?
She's like,
oh yeah, the sprinklers.
Why are the kids wearing shoes?
Yeah,
she says that after she finds the ear. But go ahead.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
Okay.
She starts to notice like something's not right here, and like, wait, where is Ray? Just an ear. Sprinklers aren't working, and the kids are wearing shoes. And then we're like, oh, she got played.
Yeah.
So,
basically, the events are that she's trying to put out the fire. She runs out of extinguisher. She notices the sprinklers aren't turning on. What the heck is going on? She tries to warn Emma and say, Emma, get away. You're going to burn up too. Whoops, Emma's gone. But wait, her tracker, it's in the room nearby. She follows it to go find Emma in the room nearby, but Emma isn't in that room. But her tracker is. She kneels down. She finds Emma's ear on the ground. She cut her ear off. And then she's like, and then she has a moment. Isabella has a moment where she's like, wait, all those kids, they were wearing their shoes the whole time.
Yeah. And that's basically, and then that's when they basically start to explain to us, the viewers, that this is Emma's / Norman's plan. And it was something that Ray was not aware of.
Deliberately left out of, yes.
Because Norman had already realized that because he found the lighter fuel under Ray's bed, what he was trying to do.
Right. Like, he knew what was going on the whole time and was like, hey, you can do something like this, but you're going to need everybody to help you.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, Norman realized that Ray was going to do this. He knew Ray was planning to burn himself. Outsmarted Ray, basically. And what happened was, it's not really super clear in the episode, so I'll clarify. When Norman went to the wall, he climbed up there and he saw the cliff. That's the moment he realized he had to change his plan. And on the way back from the wall, he stopped, and it was shown in this episode that's when he stopped, borrowed the piece of paper, and wrote down his master plan, and then brought that back to give, to basically give to store it so that Emma would find it later. He gave it to Don and Gilda. We did see Don and Gilda enter Norman's room in the previous episode right before he left.
Mhm.
That's what he was doing. He was giving Don and Gilda the package to give to Emma in this episode.
And then again, trying to remember all the point by point exactly happens. We learned that Don and Gilda had other kids listen to what Krone had to say, and that was
people
sort of
actually got overheard. Yeah.
Yeah. It was deliberate. And it's really cool rewatching this too, because I don't know if you probably didn't notice this unless you knew this was going to happen. But in the episode where Sister Krona was giving out all that information, there was a moment in that episode where when Norman asks her, he says, "I can ask you anything," and she says, "Yeah, you can ask me anything." And then he pauses, and then he looks over his shoulder at the door, and then looked back and started asking her questions. And that's because he knew that those other kids were out there.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch that scene again, it's like it's all there.
Also, that was the scene where Krone was like, "Your face has told me everything," and it's like you just spewed everything.
Yeah.
With your words.
And here's another thing that I think even people who've seen this before might not have realized. But in the same episode, when they were going to go and interrogate Sister Krona, in the scene before that, they're all hanging out in the dining hall. Ray, Norman, Emma, Don, and Gilda, and they're talking about, like, well, should we trust Sister Krona? What should we do? And they're like, yeah, it's okay. It's worth getting information out of her. Blah 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 blah. And then Norman goes, "Hey Ray, can you help me with something?" And then they leave. And then you hear Emma say to to Gilda and Don, "Hey, I need you guys to do something for me." And then the scene cuts, and you don't know what it was. This is what it was. Norman took Ray out of the room so that Emma could ask these other Don and Gilda to get the other kids to listen in on the conversation, so that Ray wouldn't know. So even back then, Norman was planning to hide this information from Ray, all the way back in like episode 8.
I mean, Norman's a smart dude.
We're gonna get to the last chapter of this manga, and it's gonna be like, surprise! My plan was executed from episode 1.
Yeah, I mean, this entire episode is kind of like the last 20 minutes of like Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, okay, we know what the plan is, and then we completely swerved, and that wasn't actually the plan at all. This is the plan.
Well, there's more to come. That's all I'll say.
So we're getting the second swerve right after the first. Man.
Well, the second swerve is the innocuous, unexplained presence of a certain young child at the very end of the
little bastard. Phil, you son of a bitch.
Well, we'll see what that's about next week.
Phil's just like tugging her skirt. I put tacks in all their shoes.
So mean.
Yeah, I think the joke with Phil is that everyone was like, what if her spy is like one of the smallest kids who doesn't know any better?
We don't know what's going on in this scene, so we should not like try to sway the narrative one way or the other. We don't know what's going on here. I mean, I know what's going on. You know what's going on, but none of these guys know what's going on.
Phil's a son of a bitch. That's what's going on.
It was me, Emma.
I have 2 things to say. One, I mentioned this in the thread. I'll just briefly mention it here. The show tricked me. I mean, obviously it tricked everyone. Like, I sort of assumed that I would know what Emma knows, but I didn't. Like, because the show hid that from me.
Yes.
And so that's something that I think that's something you have to be careful with, because it can feel like when Kirito does something you're not aware of, it just feels like an asshole or bullshit or whatever.
Right.
But here, there were enough clues, and we talked about some of them.
Yeah.
That, like, when it all does come together, it's like, oh, so this isn't something that just came out of nowhere that the author needed to basically get himself out of a hole. Like, this was deliberate.
Yeah.
And that was something I applaud. The second thing is Phil. My assumption with Phil is that he is just so attached to his mommy that he'll trust her over anything else, and just basically like, mommy, these kids are saying all these things and doing all this stuff, and I want to let you know because you're my mommy. That's my thought.
Nah, he's a son of a bitch.
Oh my
Well,
God.
you're right, Seda, insofar as like the way the show drops clues. You're right. That's totally true. In fact, after the final episode airs, I'm going to post some stuff that's going to like reveal clues that maybe people had missed. There's still yet to be revealed clues, but you're right. It feels more satisfying when you know there was something going on. You could tell, and there's always been stuff going on, and I think that's what this show does. It does that trick where it's like we're not going to show you everything, but we'll tell you about it later. But you still see that there's something happening. You don't know what it is.
Right. It's. I mean, I go back to it, but it's like that Ocean's 11 thing where
Yeah, it's
everything's
exactly
sort
like
of
that.
everything's sort of laid out for you. Like you can literally figure out the entire con
Yes.
before they even pull it off because all the pieces are in place. You just don't know how they all fit together until it actually happens. And then once it starts happening, you go, "Oh, that's what they're doing there."
One of the best ones from that movie was when they showed in one of the scenes earlier in the movie, they showed that air freshener hanging from the van window. And you're like, well, why were they just showing an air freshener? And then at the end, you're like, oh!
No. My favorite one is when they make the replica of the vault and you think it's just for practice.
Yes.
And then you realize it's completely part of the con.
Yeah.
More generically, these are the sorts of things that are required for like a plot twist to be good. There has to be enough that when the twist
figure it out.
Well, the thing is, it can't be so obvious that everyone can read the plot twist from a mile away. Like, oh, you gave it away. It's way too obvious. You're trying to trick us, but it's not. You can maybe argue that Naruto does this or whatever.
Yeah.
But it can't be out of nowhere where there was no build up and no clues at all. Where it's just like, where did this come from? This is bullshit. It just came out of nowhere. There's no planning involved. Like, sure, you can argue that this was in the case the whole time, but you didn't convince me that it was. So this is sort of that middle ground where it's like there are clues. You may have not noticed them, or maybe you did, but you didn't know what they meant. But when it finally does click and that twist does happen, it doesn't feel like it's out of nowhere, but it's not obvious. You kind of have that moment where then things kind of click into place. It's like that middle ground where that you kind of have to be in for a plot twist to be effective.
Yeah, it's like you should be able to figure it out based on what you're given, but it shouldn't be too easy to figure out. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
It reminds me of how somebody figured out Rainer and Bertolt were the Armored and Colossal Titans way before they actually revealed that.
I mean, that could have just been an ass pull.
No, he had
we don't know that was planned.
This specific dude had here's the very specific evidence that proves these guys are the Armored and Colossal Titans.
So you think the mangaka did a good job of putting the seeds out there?
There are specific things in there, like in a scene where Rainer escapes from the female Titan. There's Titan gas smoke coming off of him, and it's like, oh, that wasn't her smoke. That was his smoke.
Cool. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of stuff you got to look for. Yeah, when it's done right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you don't even notice it and such.
Yeah.
That's even better for the storyteller.
Yeah, like when there's a clue that's left behind, like sometimes you may notice it where it's obvious that it was shown to you on purpose, like maybe the air freshener. But the other people may not even have thought about it. Like they didn't even register that it was a clue at that time, but it is. So I don't think it really matters either way. But as long as there's clues there, and as long as it's not so blatantly obvious that you figure it out from a mile away,
right?
So,
it is funny that this discussion of the show has revealed just how delicate this style of storytelling is. Because you don't want it to linger to be so obvious that it just keeps lingering in your mind like an annoying ache. But you don't want to just put it out of thin air, since that's not exactly compelling storytelling either.
Naruto.
But you can't just but you can't also distracted by equally compelling stuff. So everything has to come together, from the drama to the conflicts to the mysteries.
It's a narrative style that the show uses and the manga uses to that again, like Seda was saying, don't tell you everything. Tell you enough that you might go, that scene kind of ended prematurely, and then that gives the author a way of being like, well, I can fill that back in later.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find out more.
Or they already have it figured out, and
well, they did, yeah. That's what I'm saying they're using that as a narrative device to be like, no, this scene isn't just ending the way you think it is. There's more that I'm just not telling you yet. That kind of thing.
Oh,
where there's a flashback, like happened in this episode, where we cut away right before Emma grabs the match, and then we're fooled into thinking that the time between Mom marking her calendar and noticing the fire and that last scene we saw is all that happened, when in fact much more happened we weren't privy to.
But
and then
I agree with you. Sorry, I thought you were finished.
That's it.
But like, you do have to be careful with just like, and this is pretty obvious, but you do have to be careful with the flashback too, because you could always like add a flashback like after the fact, like
Naruto.
Yeah, like exactly, where it's like, this actually happened. You didn't see it, but this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that kind of thing works as long as it's plausible, Yes,
and the fact it was pretty obvious that it was built in, and that the way that it was presented to us was intentional. To basically build that mystery and to trick us, unlike Naruto, where they just sort of add this flashback from a million years ago. Where like, actually, this happened to explain this new event that I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. Like the point of the flashback should be to sort of tie together the different parts that are already sort of sitting around.
This is actually somewhat similar. It's not as deftly handled, but I think it still works. In either this Attack on Titan or one of the recent Attack on Titan episodes, we saw a scene with the three Titans, Bertolt, Annie, and Reiner. Yes. And we saw how Marco died, basically, or we knew that Marco died in the past. We thought he was just killed by a Titan. I remember it was kind of silly at the time because we didn't really know who Marco was, but the fact is that he was a character and he died. And now we saw this flashback basically that sort of explained that and sort of showed us that early battle from those characters' viewpoints, and it's something that is plausible. Like, yeah, this doesn't feel like something that was planned later. We didn't know exactly what those characters were doing at the time, and now we see it. It's not as significant of a scene, maybe, but that reminded me of it in terms of like using a flashback and sort of explaining a new element to us. And I think that Attack on Titan flashback, not as good as Promised Neverland's use here, where it tricks us, but certainly not the really poor use of flashbacks that Naruto has, where they just sort of add these scenes that never existed.
Yeah, like when baby Sasuke met unborn Naruto.
It's like that part from that RLM review of episode 3 is like, hey, baby Han Solo, meet baby Luke.
Yeah, meet baby Luke and Leia. Yeah, I remember that.
All right, now get the fuck out of here. You were here, literally transported here for this purpose. But now
it's kind of funny that this meme of a character just because nobody knew who Marco turned out. And in a funny way, the most important character, because he was the first to figure enough out what was going on.
Unfortunately,
died because of it.
Well, unfortunately, just Marco was sort of like the first casualty in the show that was like not just a total random, but still being so early, it's just like we didn't have time to really know him. But that wasn't really the point of it. Anyway.
Speaking of Marcos, like this exact thing sort of happened when Dr. Marco escaped in Brotherhood. I'm just like, it just sort of clicked in my head. I'm like, because he winds up and you think he's dead, and then they sort of flash back a little bit and they show the escape.
It's definitely something you have to be careful of in terms of like, it has to make sense. There has to be sort of a reason why they portray it out of order in a way.
Right.
So
yeah.
It was a good episode. One more to go.
Yeah, it was a good episode. Speaking of not a good episode, Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online, Alicization episode 21, the 32nd night. In this episode, it's the long-awaited duel between Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh, and it's pretty disappointing.
Wait, I have to ask for clarification here. 32nd as the number, like
Yeah.
Yes.
32, or was it 30 seconds? Like this whole conflict lasted about 30 seconds.
No, 32.
He's Integrity Knight number 32.
But I also feel like this whole conflict of Yu-Gi-Oh being brainwashed lasted about 30 seconds. That's what it means.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
It's both. It's both.
Yeah, I mean, he got over his rape pretty quick.
Yeah.
But that's okay because she doesn't mind. You can stab me all you want, Yu-Gi-Oh.
God.
She said that.
And also,
Where do we start?
this whole thing about Yu-Gi-Oh being brainwashed sort of felt pointless. I mean, there wasn't really a reason for it. It was drama for a very short amount of time.
Yes.
Nothing came out of it really.
There was no point of it.
Like, let's say Yu-Gi-Oh was already like at odds with the Pontifex administrator, whatever she's called,
Mm-hmm.
and then Alice and Kirito show up. Like, nothing changed. Like, there was really no point to him being brainwashed. It was just it was fleeting drama, cheap drama.
But then you couldn't get Yu-Gi-Oh versus Kirito.
Yeah, it's really like ticking something off on a list. They're just like, at some point these two have to have a fight.
Yeah.
How do I get there? He gets brainwashed with sex, and then they fight for 5 seconds.
It wasn't
like I've overcome your sexual wiles.
But it wasn't sex. He couldn't consent. He was,
Yeah.
They made him like drunk or whatever it was.
Sure. But yeah, the big thing in this episode is that now the administrator is just going full on. Check this out. I'm naked all the time, and I'm also constantly feeling myself up.
Also, her hair is perfectly placed.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank you, administrator, for gluing certain hairs
to your nipples.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm going to be thinking about this way too hard, but like a villain who is a seductress isn't necessarily something new.
No.
But everything about how SAO does it here, it feels very juvenile. Like,
exactly.
There's nothing else to the character, like the villain.
Well, it's like this is not a defense of the character, but like this idea that she goes around naked only makes sense insofar as that she just doesn't give a fuck. Like she's got godlike powers. Why would she even bother? But then it's as if to say she has no concept of modesty or anything.
And it's also just very obviously just an excuse to have her naked.
Exactly. That's the ultimate goal is to just have her naked.
It feels like I know that's what you're getting at basically. But it feels like the Kojima excuse that like, why does Quiet not wear clothes? Because she breathes through her skin. And it's like, okay, sure, that you can
whatever.
You can,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's a stretch to say like, oh, well, she just doesn't care about wearing clothes because she's like,
that's the in-universe argument, but it's still
exactly.
We just wanted
to. You're gonna give this series the benefit of the doubt after all this shit we've gone through.
I'm just trying to understand the author. I'm trying to figure out where he's coming from.
What? Your poor soul.
He's coming from a place of titties good.
Yes,
possibly, or that they sell.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to.
This is like dude written like 1.5, right? Or 2.5.
Yes.
Where the fuck ever?
Okay, so titties good and rape bad. Like that's as far as he got.
At least that second point is there.
Well, or not so much that rape is bad, but that like bad people rape.
Yeah, that
is kind of like as an evil motivation, because not only did that happen a while back with those two whatever noble guys, now you got this stupid clown coming in here, and he's like I'll defeat Yu-Gi-Oh for you if you let me do something dirty with you.
Does anybody here think that she's not just going to snap him into non-existence immediately? When he tries to do that?
I don't know what she'll do.
I mean,
No, I
I highly
think
doubt
so.
that. I highly doubt that
want
the
to
clown
ponder
guy is
this
going to
show.
survive after this. But
I know, but if he did win, she would just be like, okay,
Yeah.
bye.
he's not being sincere. But it also just kind of points to the fact, like, I know this clown guy is obviously supposed to be a villain, but it just feels like a crutch. Like, the only thing that matters for a reward is sex.
Yeah.
Like, sure.
I mean, and this season keeps coming back to it, like in the most ridiculous ways possible. It just keeps coming up.
It's weird too because like the show keeps like every time this guy comes on the screen, they keep having like Looney Tune sound effects play and stuff, and it's like, are they trying to like add levity to this situation with this character? Because it doesn't feel funny to me.
This is like some weird sadistic rape clown, and they're like, "Ooh, look how wacky he is."
Look, the shoes make noises when they hit the ground.
Yeah.
I also thought it's just kind of funny when they were trying to bring Yu-Gi-Oh out of his brainwash or whatever. There's like they brought up that redhead girl whose name I forget. Like,
yeah,
it's like
his squire.
This character was around for like 2 episodes, like 2.5 episodes.
1.5. Let's be real.
Like that's I just find that kind of actually insulting. Like, the only point to that character is a love interest for Yu-Gi-Oh, sort of, even though it's clear he likes Alice, and like a object to be raped.
Yes.
Like, that's that character. That is that character's purpose in this show.
Right.
Like, we don't know anything else about this character other than that she has a crush on Yu-Gi-Oh and she almost got raped. That is it.
Right. And she almost got raped in order to advance Yu-Gi-Oh's character.
The only thing that would possibly redeem that is if this was one of those situations where like the anime had to adapt 50 chapters into like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a lot of faith that is like that. So
yeah.
I mean, I've seen shows, adapt entire books into like, 6 episodes. It's not, an impossible thing to do well.
But we have to care about this. If a female character is going to be the subject of a heinous crime like that, you have to make us like care about the character and actually give them a character first, rather than just like all she is a female waifu that we're supposed to feel bad about because she almost got raped, even though like they didn't establish her having any sort of character before that happened.
It's not only the needing the character thing; it's the heinous crime thing has to advance their character, not someone else's.
I just kind of felt it was doubly insulting to bring her back. Obviously, she's not actually present, but bring her back as basically motivation for Yu-Gi-Oh to basically break out of his slump. Like, this character had no other purpose in the show.
She basically existed to twice motivate Yu-Gi-Oh.
They did bring in this little metaphysical mind thing that Yu-Gi-Oh is doing. He also did see Kirito and Alice, but the fact that they did bring that character back for that was just kind of like really.
Well, like they probably felt like, oh, it's not so bad if we don't forget her. It's like, no, it's worse now because you know what you did.
Well,
are they going to bring back Elevator Chan?
Yes.
Oh, I hope so. Oh God, no.
Do you know that, or are you just saying that?
In the middle of season 2, there's going to be a tragic death scene with Elevator Chan.
I'm told apparently next episode has more awkward rape stuff. So
I saw that post. God,
so now I'm like, there's what, 3 episodes left? Where is the time for this?
There's a whole second half to this show.
Remember, we are not even halfway through Sword Art Online Alicization.
Here's something to think about too. All of the fluct lights in this world. Remember that word? We haven't said that in a while.
Yeah,
fluct lights. All the fluct lights in this world were based off of real people.
They're clone babies.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's true. They are kind of clone babies.
Remember, they
kidnap babies and then clone them.
I was just gonna say, who is the administrator based off of? Because we need to put that person in jail. But I guess they probably weren't really based off someone.
I forget. Is the administrator even based on anyone, or is it just kind of an AI?
Probably just an AI that's like was cloned.
Librarian girl was the AI.
I thought they were both.
And
there.
then
I think they're
no,
both AI.
I
The
thought
librarian girl was
goes-
an ordinary townsperson and was converted into librarian.
I
Remember?
thought librarian
right.
was the AI.
Yeah. But the other girl too, the one that became the Pontifex, she too was just an ordinary person who like
Right.
stumbled into the.
That's right. Now I'm
Backdoor.
remembering the
Yeah,
backstory.
yeah.
Powerful by like grinding like JRPG style against.
Yeah, but she did have like a dark side from the very beginning. Remember, she was like killing small animals and stuff,
Yeah.
and like she got like
Right.
pleasure from that. So I don't know if she was based on a real person's Flucklight or
No,
not.
because remember, I think it was because she was under the influence of. Remember how they had 2 adult souls and fucklights in there based on staffers to like
And
teach
one of the
children,
staffers was
but one of them
evil.
was secretly evil and is definitely
Yeah.
not Kayaba.
Right.
Oh man, what if it is?
What if it is?
Oh god.
I don't remember exactly all of, like the Flucklight
I
stuff.
do remember this. Yeah, you're right. There was like 5 or 6 people from Wrath who were used as the initial templates.
It was like, okay, these first babies we're putting in need actual parents, so you staff members were using you.
You're going in.
Right.
Get in the
and
Matrix.
then one of them turned out to be like, if you want to rule the world in here, you do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, is Wrath, like, I guess Wrath really is not aware they end up creating rapists in the process.
I don't think they
I
can.
kind of wonder that thing too, because like, can they look into the world and like
No, they
just see
can't.
it?
No, they can do that. The thing is, it moves. The timeline is way faster, so they might not see all the
but it's a
raping.
computer. I mean, you'd think they'd be able to record something and watch it.
I mean, yeah, but like
I don't know. I kind of
yeah,
wondering that ever since.
Realized.
okay,
I
like
just
the
realized-
whole point of the experiment is they want to find people that will break the rules. So
Yeah, it's weird.
It's kind of funny just how much the outside world has been like sidelined the last mini episodes.
Yeah, it's like they might as well be doing nothing but like eating lunch on the bridge.
yeah, or taking a nap
like,
or something.
That just gotta make you wonder why are they also like watching this real time, or like are they even able to?
I don't think they are. I think they're just goofing off, waiting for something to happen.
They're waiting for Kirito to come out.
Wait.
basically.
I'm trying to remember something, and I don't know if this has happened and I forgot it or I didn't. I remember we saw a scene in the real world where Asuna and the other woman scientist, whose name I forget, were eating somewhere.
Boob bomb.
Yeah, boob bomb girl.
They were eating on. They were eating on the big pyramid.
But then they saw
in, like the cafeteria.
there was like a different boat out in the window that shouldn't have been there, I guess. And I remember one of the staff members like called it in, like this is unusual. Did anything come of that yet?
Nope.
So that's the lingering thing, like in the real world.
Yeah.
Like, there's this Wrath base that is being
Also,
invaded or inspected by something else. I don't
Right.
remember exactly.
I mean, it's Kaya, but he's coming back to take control of his.
Grex,
You
I
can't
think
sink
you're
my
wrong.
battleship.
Grex, I think you're wrong too. I don't think they're waiting for Kirito to come out. They just put him in there because it was the only way to keep him alive.
Yeah.
They don't have
Well,
any
they must
idea that
be-
he's going to come out.
Well, then they must be trying. But like, I think the answer was it actually is healing him.
Yeah,
Like it's
no, it
rewriting
is.
his. It's helping to rewrite his brain.
Oh, in the real
Yeah.
world. Oh, okay.
I mean, if they're able to see this, what he's going through, be like, you just end up imagining what Suna is like thinking,
Mhm.
like seeing him, Kirito, like going through. What the hell is his real name again?
Kazuto.
Kazuto.
Who
Yeah.
cares?
Like seeing through all the.
I mean, he's a dirty. He's a dirty beater.
Like people pointed that out. They're like using his fake name in the real world. Funny enough, but yeah, it'd be like if they're able to watch all of this. Like, I mean, we don't see like Asuna's like reaction to like all the shit that's going on to him right now.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
they clearly can't because then they would know something was going on. If Asuna had the opportunity to peer into what Kirito's going through, they would have let her do it. I don't think they can.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's
I
just
forget.
weird.
Is it because of the in-world technological limitations, or Wrath just won't allow that?
I think it's supposed to. I think in the universe of the show, it's that they can't observe it because it's happening too fast or something like
Right.
that.
Like they can peek in and see something, but like, you know,
They can.
don't really
They
care.
probably have a chart that they can pull up that says, "Oh, there are currently, 120,000 AIs currently running."
Yeah.
And
well,
that's it.
Right. Like they're looking for somebody that's going to break the rules. But every time that happens, by the time they figure out who it was, they've already been rewritten.
Yeah.
Which seems less than ideal. Let's be real.
They are not good at their jobs.
Rewritten by the self-governing AI system.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the Pontifex. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. They want to see it. Yeah, I forgot. They want to create this world and see how it evolves by itself.
Well, I guess what fucked them up was that one of the Flucklights in there actually became the AI that controlled everything.
Yeah. They took over, but they haven't noticed, I guess.
Right.
A part of me actually wants to go back and like rewatch this to try.
No,
don't.
It's
Why would
funny
you do that?
This conversation almost seems like we're legitimizing the show now.
I'm trying to
it's horrible.
the logic.
We are trying to make sense of this shit.
It's hard. It's hard to follow the plot of this show when like it's telling you these things, but then like, oh, look over here. Now there's a naked girl.
Yeah. No. Hang on. We actually didn't talk about something. We were told that when Alice was 12, that they tortured her and forced her to do the, thing where that what's his name did, Yu-Gi-Oh did.
Yeah.
Well, like all those weird, floating head guys basically tortured her, and then
basically forced her to
a night. And then do the weird sex thing.
Did they ever explain why Yu-Gi-Oh as a knight was like so powerful, like compared to other knights at that time? Nope. They were talking about like he shouldn't be able to do all this yet, but then they sort of just dropped it when he broke his brainwash.
Because he's super cool.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if they'll explain that, or if it's just kind of like just for drama at the moment.
Well, I mean, he's got to beat that dirty beater somehow.
Let's go to the next show.
Yes.
Okay.
Lupin the Third. Lupin the Third, Part 5, Episode 2, The Lupin Game. In this episode, because Lupin stole the Bitcoins, everyone's like, all right, internet, find me Lupin the Third. And they're like, here he is.
Now kill him.
But then Lupin's like, hey, I'm just going to say where I am all the time, and you're going to get bored of it.
Yeah,
the first part of the episode, they're in the airport, and they need to escape. Mm-hmm. And so, like, everyone's following him and whatnot. And
also, they escape by, like, using a electric car battery to charge a plane, and I think that doesn't seem correct.
That was awesome.
I don't think you can just discharge a battery.
No.
That's
if
bullshit,
I remember right,
and I don't really believe it, but I will accept it.
No. Like, if I remember right, they weren't charging it. They were using it to jumpstart the plane.
That's right.
It's something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So, that makes a little more sense.
Also, these guys are awesome. These guys brought a sword to a gunfight, and it's like, no, you guys brought guns to a Goemon fight.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Which is what you do not do.
So they hop on a cruise ship to vaguely African nation that doesn't have extradition treaties with anyone.
Yeah, they went to non-extraditionville,
And then that's when Lupin is like, I'll just keep tweeting about how much of a good time I'm having here, and everyone will get bored of it. And will end, basically.
He basically got
in Twitter fights with brands.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly pissed off all the people that he stole the money from.
Because now they're just like, bet on when Lupin dies.
Yeah.
And you can totally bet on him and then kill him yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That was the end of the episode. Yeah.
Also, Ami takes things very literally and directly asks Lupin, do you want to have sex with me? And I'm like, where the fuck did this come from?
I'm like, no. But luckily, that was also Lupin's answer.
Well, to be quite honest, like, Ami might just be assuming that any guy that's being her has ulterior motives. And this is actually meant to show us that Lupin is not that type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
her question in an anime normally might be like lead to very bad things, but this is actually
Yes.
showing us that Lupin is actually being a nice guy. Like
It's also I think supposed to be a reflection of her just
yeah,
I don't want to say
She's not-
naivete, but
doesn't trust.
she's clearly
Right.
unusual.
Mhm.
Like she doesn't have any social skills at all.
It's a mix. The fact that she's so blunt about it is indicative of her lack of sociability, but it's also showing her that at this point, she doesn't trust Lupin or anyone really, because she's been
Right.
alone her whole life. It feels like, either intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah,
But
she's got
obviously, I'm assuming over the course of the show, she'll become more and more human and warm up more and more to the cast.
possibly, yeah. Like she's got
Yeah.
that. I think she's supposed to be like a hikikomori type character. So it's just a shut-in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, Lupin just fucks up some prospective assaulters, and it's pretty cool because we didn't get any of this. Like, dude, I will just shoot you in the head, Lupin, in part 4.
You went serious mode for a bit there.
I actually
Yeah.
like that a lot because I'm so used to just the goofy, goofball, lighthearted Lupin, and to hear him be like real serious was kind of like, whoa!
Mhm.
I didn't know he goes there.
I mean, it's this. He's sort of this really interesting character that you could justify doing both that and the Looney Tunes thing in like the same 5-minute span, and it's not something you'd normally think is possible, but then there he is.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen him do it. I mean, like I've ever seen of Lupin has been what's aired on Toonami,
Mhm.
and this is the first time I've ever seen him not, have a grin in the corner of his mouth. He was like straight up
Right.
being pretty dark.
Yeah, it was like, oh shit, dude's not even smiling a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna kill some other.
He sounded different. Like his voice was different.
Yeah,
Like-
it was very clearly obviously meant to be. He was taking this seriously. It wasn't just it didn't seem like to me that he was just putting on a face. Like he was actually taking this seriously.
Because like I know that some older seasons of Lupin the Third, like depending on which show you're watching, they are either just like lovable goofballs or man, they just leave bodies behind them, huh?
Yeah. It's I think it's like the red coat Lupin is just a lovable goofball, and the green one is I will murder you in your sleep.
One other
Maybe.
thing too about this episode that's interesting is that must be coming from whoever's giving them the show, but they're keeping the full opening and endings.
I've determined that it is
Yeah.
illegal under Japanese law to cut that opening.
I mean, it's perfect, I feel like cutting it would be a crime against humanity.
DeMarco said
Yeah.
in the past that when asked about like shows being cut at certain ways and stuff, that they actually get them that way from the distributors. So I'm wondering if this is a situation where whoever is giving them this show, I don't know who has it, Viz or who, but that
Well,
they just
Yeah.
they
Lupin
were
is
able to fit the opening and endings into the runtime.
Also, DeMarco seems to be a huge Lupin fan. Like, it's on here because he wants it to be, so maybe he's like, and you do not cut the opening of Lupin the
I
Third.
guess it could
No,
be
I mean,
that.
it's Lupin the Third. It's got the most classic opening since Bond.
Well, we didn't get it last season because they had to license the Italian version.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
But I mean, that little Lupin jingle is just, it's so good.
Let's really quickly run through the next 3 shows.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's late.
Black Clover, episode 75, Fierce Battle. I was in the bathroom most of this episode.
I didn't pay attention.
I assume some dudes beat up some other dudes, and none of them matter.
I mean, who cares?
Here's what happened. The Mimosa's brother ends up
The
being really
Mimosa
powerful.
The
brother.
super pretty dude.
Yeah, he's super pretty, but he's also super strong. He beats up a bunch of people. He doesn't like commoners. Some dog JPEGs appeared in the show and were floating around, looked like crap animation. Oh, and Haha showed up. So there you go.
Ah,
It was the type of thing where like we had characters we sort of know versus characters that we have no idea who they are. I wonder who's going to win.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what
okay.
happened.
I mean, it was a jobbing thing.
Please leave our lives, Black Clover.
Yay.
Boruto, episode 36, the graduation exam begins. This actually does have some stuff to it because they're doing their graduation exam, and Kakashi is pulling out the old bell bullshit again.
Mm-hmm.
And also the old bullshit of, I'm just going to straight up lie to everyone.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that the whole point of this is they all have to work together to get the bell. But, you know, God
I never
forbid.
said only one person would pass. I only said one person could get the bell. There's
Yeah.
only one bell.
And that's totally why he's giving Boruto shit, because he's like, you're so much better than everyone else that you think you can get it on your own? Bitch, please. That's why you're not going to be a ninja.
There's a couple of bits of animation, both with the Ino Shikacho guys versus Anko. Like, it was actually pretty well animated, as well as like Sarada versus what's his name, Konohamaru. It was just pretty well. Not like Sakuga animation, but just pretty nice.
I thought it was a laugh how Boruto's strategies against Kakashi are exactly what Naruto's strategies against Kakashi were.
Yep.
And that's why Kakashi was kind of aware and ready for them.
Yeah. Well, like
they part of it is the show telling us what to think, but they are trying to separate Boruto and Naruto by Boruto is supposedly very smart. Like he got 100 on his test without cheating, and like they say, like Kakashi said, supposedly genuinely, like you have getting level skills already. So that I feel like they're trying to set it apart. Like Boruto is very, very talented, where Naruto really wasn't. And there's a whole discussion about that talent effort. But there is something a little bit different between those two characters. Kakashi is going all serious mode, like. It seems like the moral they're trying to share here is that you don't care about, you may be talented, but you don't actually care about being a ninja, and that's why you're going to fail or something like that.
No, I feel like it's a teamwork thing again.
Yeah,
because you know, like everyone went off on their own, and it's like, Boruto, you secretly think you're better than everyone else. That's why you're, you know.
We also saw Mitsuki apparently, or we didn't see Mitsuki take out Shino.
Mitsuki's just like, fuck you.
Yeah, but Shino was like, yeah, I could have just killed you, but, you know, then I'd be in trouble.
To make it seem somewhat plausible, but it's just kind of funny how it's like off screen for 2 minutes, like, oh, Mitsuki beat him, even if he was holding back, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, even Mitsuki was like, yeah, you could have killed me, but whatever.
Hey, at least he's admitting that Shino could be cool.
Yeah. Now, if only he was.
If only he was.
Never gonna happen.
Naruto Shippuden. Naruto Shippuden, episode 255. The artist returns. In this episode, really the only thing of note is that, oh yeah, Yamato gets eaten by a snake, and he's gone now. Forever.
Yeah, it was apparently informing that that's the last time we've seen him, like, for the longest time, was, like, apparently what I remember the most about that episode.
Also, the armadillo stuff.
Oh, right. That's
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah, now I remember. I tweeted Emmys that line should be nominated. So it's like impossible, but fuck it. God, it's like they're just checking their balls out.
We also got that line that's like he's just checking balls.
Like,
God,
that was like the best thing that come out of Naruto since like my Team 10 episode.
Yeah. I mean, like, he's just so fucking stupid.
I like how they're. I don't like, but it's amusing how they are actually taking Naruto's stupidity and making it a somewhat important factor to his character. Like, this only works because Naruto's stupid.
Right, but they're making him so much stupider than he normally is.
Sure,
like, normally he's dumb as bricks, but this is like, you know, dumb as dirt.
So in terms of like things that significantly happen, just to blitz through them, Kabuto catches up to this turtle thing. He fights off against some of those random ninja dudes, and he almost gets captured, and he's almost about to be interrogated by that other. I don't know these guys' names. That one guy who's the interrogator, and then he just sort of escapes. He eats up Yamato, and it's kind of a big. He calls that his success. Like he didn't get the 9 tails, but he got his. He
got Yamato, and we never see Yamato again.
Someone said in the thread that supposedly the anime actually showing that is actually like embellished in a way because the manga never did. Supposedly Yamato just disappears, and
that's
actually forgotten about and then showed up. It just was explained later. Oh, yeah, he was captured, even though it didn't actually show it.
Yes, that's
sort of correcting a mistake. Like, oh, we actually have to show him getting captured.
Yeah.
So
no, he in the manga he just sort of vanishes at some point, and
they just look around and is like, "Where'd Yamato go?"
I don't know. And then all of a sudden he sort of shows up captured, and everyone was like,
"He's a tree now. Shut up."
Yeah.
Pretty clearly that the writer Kishi was just making it up, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. Shit. What do I do?
and then they never actually rescued him.
Yeah, he showed up in Boruto. He's like watching over Orochimaru's hideout, and it's like, okay.
Well, like he gets out, but he never gets rescued.
But yeah, I didn't need to see that much of that armadillo.
Also, Deidara is just doing his usual thing, even though he's dead.
Yep.
Art.
I gather we're gonna probably see a lot of dead people return.
Oh yeah.
And I assume the anime is just going to use
who's going to return? Literally everyone except Jiraiya, because his body is like at the bottom of the ocean.
Thank God. I mean, that's literally the only way you could possibly say like not screw up Jiraiya's character is that.
It does feel just kind of silly how they talk about this big war arc, and up to this point I don't really know what happened to Naruto. I sort of know a few things, and it's like, what's this war against? This whole ninja army village or like union of villages versus a few Akatsuki? How are they gonna...
basically Kabuto and Madara just summon like every Kage that ever was.
That's exactly what I mean.
And every Akatsuki member. And they're like, check this out.
Into a war. Oh, we're just going to bring back literally everybody and have them be an army for us.
We've got a bunch of, and they also have all those Zetsus. The Zetsu's under the tree.
Yeah, I don't know what a Zetsu is.
The dude with the
I know what he is, but I don't know what he is. Like
he's
that thing guy.
A vegetable. Okay, fuck this. Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter episode 148, the final episode, past and future. In this episode, Gon has to climb the fucking biggest fucking tree. Except not.
It's so big.
It's not the biggest tree because we learned that there's a bigger tree. There's a bigger world.
Fucking dark continent, man, where all the monsters and shit are.
Gon gets to the top, and the moment is immediately ruined by the dumbest fucking bird sitting there and going, meow, meow, meow.
Like, even Gene is like, no, fuck off, birds.
Shut the fuck up, birds! They all look like Elizabeth from Gintama.
Yes.
So what do you think was the purpose of placing those birds there?
Because Hunter x Hunter is fundamentally kind of silly.
Was it also meant to show us that there are these really big creatures, and that this is just, in a sense, in the larger context of the world, are actually just normal birds that exist in it?
Yes,
I think he maybe
thought I got.
Yeah.
Also, probably stupid, dumb baby birds funny.
Yeah, it's also
that too.
I do think it just shows that like these little baby birds and their mother that shows up later, like these are just creatures that are a part of the world that you're not aware of.
Yeah. But they're also fun.
Even so, they actually talked about other like giant, unimaginable creatures from like the first arc.
But so Gon gets up to the top, and this is basically the first real conversation he has with his dad, who he doesn't call dad, by the way. And Ging, how do you pronounce his name? basically explains to him that he is an adventurer and basically just wants stuff he doesn't have, which is why he's always out and about and doing. Basically, it seems like he's the type of character who's never satisfied, so he couldn't be a dad. I mean, I'm not defending him. I'm just trying to explain that this is the way he thinks. He's like, he couldn't just settle down and be a dad, because once he had a child and once he was a dad, he just wanted something else, so he left. And that's his MO. That's how he works. And then he explains to Gon, his advice is, while you are on this journey or your goal, you should embrace the side things, the side paths, which is a little bit generic, but it's sort of, a theme.
By the way, out there they'd be crazy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought B-Dubs, based on what you were hinting at, I thought they were going to go more deeply into it, but
no,
they were just like, so all the continents? They're actually
They're just little islands in a giant lake of a much bigger world.
Okay, so it's basically the entire world of Hunter x Hunter is this small little tiny area inside of this thing called the Mobius Lake, and outside of the humans' territorial waters, there's sea monsters. And then it gets progressively crazier and crazier and crazier as you get to the land. And then once you get on shore, it's just a gigantic shit show of epic proportions.
It's just like, hey, look, there's 15 Godzillas in a pack.
They're quite literally just exponentially increasing the scale of the world.
I don't even think calling this exponential. This is just like, this is like going from
1 to a billion.
Exponential growth is pretty rapid increase.
This seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just kind of like a weird way to end the show insofar as to say like all this crazy stuff that's happened is just nothing compared to what's really out there. Is kind of what he's saying.
No, I will say we have seen part of what's already out there though.
So
okay. Fine, but my point is,
can I talk about it?
Yes, you can.
All right. Okay. So the Chimera, they basically there have been 6 trips into the Dark Continent. 5 of them have been official, and 1 of them was just Netero and Zig Zoldyck going over there to dick around. Like they wanted to go exploring at one point, so they went, and they were the only ones. They were literally the only ones that didn't bring back a calamity that almost destroyed the human race. So there's like these 5 different things that they got brought back. This gaseous life form thing called an eye, a living weapon, a snake with 2 heads, a thing that sucks your blood out, and basically zombie disease. And it's like each one of these things, unless the entire world works together, can literally wipe out human life. And compared to the Chimera ants,
the Chimera ants ran from the Dark Continent.
Yeah, like they were jack shit. Like they were garbage.
It's like the king is like, okay, king, you've just conquered the world of humans, and he's like, I'm gonna go over there, and then you better get back over there.
Yeah, I mean they are hot garbage in comparison to shit that's over there.
This sort of storytelling theme is not especially on its own unique to Hunter x Hunter.
Right.
One Piece is similar when they talk about the Grand Line and the New World. It's like everything you knew.
In the New World.
Everything you knew up to this point, while it maybe have seemed like we were exhausting the world that you knew, and like everything that we've touched on, and everything that you know about this setting, about the characters, about the nations, about the history of everything we've seen so far, that's just a bit of it. And then we know there's a lot more out there. And like a lot of shows and games do this sort of thing.
Right. There's like a dark world or underworld or something.
Not necessarily dark or underworld, just like there is a larger world. There is more,
Right.
It's just the scale of how much more in this case is.
It feels especially excessively large. So
it's we've also actually technically met a second one of the calamities already.
Who wants to make a guess?
It's Nanika or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
everyone pretty much thinks it's Nanika.
It makes sense. I mean, it's like she has like
Yeah.
powers that nobody else understands.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I was just thinking about like Miriam seemed like at that point the most powerful being existent, like the closest
Yeah.
thing to being like I guess their world's Goku, I guess you can say, and also sentient, which would be bad for any other life on Earth. Which
Yeah.
I'm like, but yet he's nothing compared to that combination compared to what's going on in the Dark Continent.
Right.
So that's all interesting. Although unfortunately we're never going to go there.
There's actually one more really cool thing that we're never going to find out until, you keep reading, but there's someone actually wrote a survival guide for the Dark Continent, but it only covers the Western Shore.
Okay.
No.
Well, I mean,
like
again,
that-
my point is that like, okay, interesting, but we're not going there. The show has ended. This is the
I
final
know.
episode. So
But Dawn freaks.
anyway, so whatever.
Dawn?
Let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about. So like
There's another.
Seda was saying. So they kind of, Gene explains himself, and then they have like a kind of just
Mhm.
like a reminiscent sense,
Yeah.
or like a. They basically share their adventures with each other, and it's done to this really nice sort of montage of all of the adventures that Gon has been on and all the people that he's met. And it's a really nice ending. I thought it was really
Yeah.
really nicely done and sort of showing everything and every person who's been involved in this big
Mhm.
story that's happened. And we even see some characters we really hadn't seen in a while, like Karapika, who looks like he has accomplished his mission.
Not almost.
Well, or he's close, because he's sitting there with all those jars of the
Mhm.
red eyes.
It's all the
front of him.
Sharingan. He finally got them.
Yeah.
He's got all the Sharingan but one pair.
But yeah, and then we end on the opening theme, and it's a really nice kind of finale to this
think-
long running series.
it's a good
Mhm.
place. It is a good place for the anime to end because it is this. There is this. Obviously, things aren't complete, and it teases
Right.
us for more. But it's sort of this place where the two characters that are in this episode are basically reflecting on things that have happened up to this point.
Right.
And basically, it's maybe a little bit sappy, but the moral here that Geen basically tells Gon, and this is where we see part of the montage, is like
Mhm.
the importance about the new things you've experienced and the people you've met and all of that. And he calls it like the sidetracks or whatever he says.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a little bit sappy and a little bit cliche, maybe. It's the adventure, not the destination.
And he also and it kind of redeems Gene a little bit. But by the way, I also want to say something about Gene, is that like I never got the impression that Gon was upset with his father not being there. Maybe he was at the very beginning. I can't remember. But
No, I don't think so.
it doesn't seem like Gon was all that upset about his father being gone. I think that was more us
Yeah.
thinking you're a bad father. But like
He is.
I think he is. But like at the same time, I feel like Gon's okay with that. And then also it kind of redeems him a little bit in this episode where like Geen is talking about like all he cared about was finding his next adventure, but then he realized that it was actually the people that had helped him that he cared the most about.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like a revelation for viewers on his moral compass, which I thought was really nice too. So, and that's where he's kind of like, it's okay. Don't get too swept up on trying to achieve your goal. It's about, stopping and doing the things on the side that are just as important. So
Right.
yeah.
And then Gon kicked him off the tree.
Well,
You
like,
asshole!
I feel like this episode works well as a finale because we start the series with Gon going, I'm gonna go find my dad, and we end it with, I found my dad. You know?
It's about as good of an and the adventure continues ending you could get.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys like the little Easter eggs in this episode where the guy was reading the anime magazine that had Migi on the front from Parasite, and then there was also the Ogashi dog plushie. Little nods there to the manga.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they did do Parasite right after this, huh?
Man, that's a downgrade.
Man, Parasite was forever ago.
Well, this anime
Yeah,
ended
no
in
kidding.
2014, right?
Yeah.
In Japan. So
Well, it's finally time to review and rank Hunter x Hunter, a show that has basically been with this podcast almost since the beginning.
Well, I'm going to give you my review of it right now. It's fucking great.
It's fucking
Goddamn
great as
right.
That's
shit.
my review. It's a great show. I recommend it to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I give it a perfect 10.
Oh, right.
I cannot believe I was so engrossed with this show for all 140 plus episodes. I never got tired of it.
I think the York... Oh, go ahead.
It's pretty much been my most pretty much anticipated show, every Saturday night the last 2 years.
it's very consistent, which is that's just not just backhand praise. Like the fact that the show can be this long and this consistent is a miracle almost.
It is.
And it's also the level of quality is very high. It's not consistently mediocre. It's consistently good.
They never dipped on the quality of the animation, the voice acting, the music. It was always good.
Mm-hmm.
Better than good, typically.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up a common criticism. There are points in the Chimera Ant arc where the pacing may not be great. I think being a part of a block of shows actually alleviated this a little bit, where there were a few episodes where maybe not a whole lot happened, and if I was just watching this show week to week, I might get bored. But I think being part of a block, where even if just a little bit happened, for one or two or three episodes or whatever, I was able to maintain my interest still. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I think that for me, the only negative I have it's kind of the same thing what you're saying, but it's a little different, is that I just felt like the Chimera Ant arc just went on too long. I don't know if there were episodes that I didn't like in the arc. I just felt like it kind of overstayed its welcome as an arc. But that would be my only complaint.
They could have split it up into two different arcs more cleanly. Because
or just not be as long. I mean, I think they could have adapted less of it or something. I don't know.
No, I kind of feel like there's sort of two different arcs in there. It's just that there isn't a good enough sort of line between them.
All the stuff up to the palace invasion, kind of all the Chimera Ant arc stuff up to that, I feel like not all of it was absolutely necessary as a storytelling plot. Some of it does all eventually build to the king, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it might have just been building for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And
we didn't necessarily need Gon versus the owl.
Yeah.
We could have maybe cut.
I guess again, but when those episodes were airing,
they were awesome.
They were still cool. It was oh wow, this was a great episode. Look at the animation. Look at that was a neat trick. I'd never seen him do that. What's this power do? I don't know. It was always interesting enough to keep me engaged, even though, like I said, I feel like it went on too long in that arc.
Right. I mean, I don't bring this up to be to poo-poo on the show or whatever, but I'm thinking if I were to criticize the show, what would it be? And that's one thing.
Yeah, it's the only thing I can think of, because all of the other arcs before that, I really enjoyed. I think Greed Island was my favorite part of the series. I loved that part.
The part about it, so Greed Island, the stuff with Killua and Gon and Biscuit is fun and cool, and kind of it's definitely more upbeat than Chimera Ant.
Yeah, I love that. Greed Island is great when it's a training arc. I appreciate that Togashi was really into his weird card game, but also that's the part where just okay.
The villain of Greed Island, and this feels somewhat intentional, never felt like he was crazy and insane and dangerous, but he never felt like he was like an imposing threat.
No. Not
And
like
there's even the
Hisoka.
point where and there's even a point where when he eventually like meets Gon, I don't remember exactly what happened, but like Gon like purposely had his arm broken so he could get another punch in or something like that, right? And he thought Gon was like insane. Like, no, how you actually purposely allowed me to break your arm? I don't remember if that's exactly what it was, but
I think he actually literally got his arm cut off
or blown up or something.
Like it was blown most of the way off.
Yeah, like he basically was so shocked that Gon was that insane.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell is wrong with you, boy?
Yeah.
Oh, this boy's fucked up. But yeah,
that boy ain't right.
the York Nu is some good shit.
Yes.
I know some people don't like Kurapika, but I don't know. I don't mind having a character who is, like, he's clearly not. So he's very rash. He's very determined to an excessive extent to basically get what he wants.
He was
All
the star
for
of my
revenge.
favorite episode. I don't know if it's still my favorite episode, but it was my favorite episode. Was him versus that big guy, the Beast guy.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, that was one of the best episodes of the series, and yeah, it was because of Kurapika. He was really awesome in that episode, and like his character really shined.
I think one of the biggest things I took away from Hunter x Hunter was how dedicated he was to not have, like, he was fully on board with, it's like, here's your regular Shonen arc setup. I will never let it end in a traditional way.
Right.
Like, he refused to have a traditionally satisfying end to a Shonen arc, because it's like, Hunter exam arc, Gon gets his license, but Killua doesn't.
Right. York Nu, there was a kidnap.
Heaven's Arena, they learn enough and then they leave.
Yeah.
York Nu, Killua kills some of the spiders, but not all of them.
Right.
And he kills people.
Didn't the spiders get away with the heist basically?
Yeah.
They basically got away with the whole thing. They just lost like 2 or 3 guys.
There was a lot of like anticlimaxes. And there were also lots of like characters doing things that normal shonen heroes would not do.
So like,
which I think would like.
But at the same time, the anti-climaxes were generally fairly satisfying.
Oh, they were. I'm just saying that was the difference.
I'm not like an anime expert, but what I would expect to happen in like the York Nu arc is you have these spiders and there's like 12 of them or something like that, right? And I would expect like a series of one-on-one battles. Like, oh, now it's going to be Gon versus number 3, and now it's going to be Kurapika versus number 4, and then we might have one of the other characters, one of the other hunters. You know, they'd just be like it'd be basically just seating these characters together and fight, and eventually build itself up to like Gon versus Krollo Lucifer, but it didn't happen that way. Not even close.
What were you gonna say, B-Dubs? Or I mean, BB Boy?
I said it like it was anticlimactic in a creative, satisfying way, essentially. And also, I was gonna say that in a funny way, I can imagine that GIF of that moment of Hasega's face just become deadpan the moment he was like revealed what the plan actually was or what happened. It was like,
Hisoka was a great villain. I mean, a very good villain, like kind of two-dimensional in a way, but creepy and smart enough that you would really he was really compelling.
It is murderous pedo clown. And that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of in the pedo section kind of, but still has like an insane fan base anyways. Still like one of the most popular villains around. Pretty impressive when you think about it.
Because Hisoka is very evil.
And everyone knows it, but they still have to work with him anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Illumi does like to murder, so it's a pretty good match.
So, on a character standpoint, I like in terms of the character who got the most development and growth. I think it's pretty clear that it's Killua.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
Mhm.
I don't like. There's no one else it could possibly be, and it's very believable and it's very endearing. Like when you first meet him, and I mean, it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to see it. But like
Right.
he obviously is like an assassin, and that's all he knows, and he's basically just in it for himself and self-protective. Of basically he's out for number one. But obviously he grows attached to Gon. But not only that, we just see him. He becomes like he's actually more interesting than Gon to me because he's maybe a little bit more nuanced in the way he thinks and the way he approaches things. Where Gon is maybe more determined in ways, but also a little bit more brash and all that. And then
not as big of a conscience as Killua, as it turns out, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And it even gets to the point where like when Gon is when Kite dies and Gon kind of loses it for a bit, he becomes less sympathetic, and Killua becomes basically the audience's like center of sympathy. Like
Yeah.
Like he sort of becomes the emotional center of the series in this.
I mean, we basically got a whole arc or so about Killua never having a friend and then having Gon as his friend. I mean, that was kind of his character arc in a way, and him like changing from being a cold. And to be fair, he was manipulated by Illumi.
Yeah.
But being a cold murderer to being someone who cares about others and has a friend.
And like I said, it's one thing to say that because there's a bunch of shows where maybe a character becomes from cold to warm, but like it was very believably done, I think. And also, it's hard to imagine like if you were to tell me at the beginning of the show, like the last arc of the show focuses on the relationship between Killua and his sister, and you'd be like, okay, that's like I don't know how compelling that would be, and it's like super compelling.
Yeah. I mean, it's
in a cinnamon roll competition. Who wins? Alaka versus. Oh crap! I forgot Komugi. Cinnamon roll.
What about Nanika? Huh? What about Nanika? Nanika is also a cinnamon roll. God damn it!
Alaka / Nanika versus Komugi versus Melody.
Oh, Melody! Poor Melody.
Also a cinnamon roll.
Yes.
But yeah,
like so again, I'm not like an anime expert, but when I compare like our core cast of characters here to like I don't know, Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball, like Naruto is infamous for terribly handling its cast.
Right.
Like it becomes basically all about Naruto and Sasuke, and that's it. Like no one else matters really. And then Dragon Ball is just the Goku show. And Bleach, like who else matters in Bleach other like are any of the characters, the protagonists in Bleach, like believable human beings that we care about as characters?
Mostly stereotypes.
And like I know those are but when we think about Gon, Killua, and I know Leoro didn't get a whole lot of chance to shine. And Kurapika, just like they are more Leorio's amusing. I wouldn't say he's a great character at this point just because not because he's I wouldn't say he's my favorite character. I would say, not really because he hasn't done it. He's done something like really unbelievable or anything. He just hasn't really had a chance to. So it's not really fair.
I mean, he's
definitely the most Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Group,
at the same time, he's also the most relatable of the cast.
He brings some levity. Like you have very serious characters.
I mean, he's kind of the audience surrogate to be like. Cut through the bullshit and just say what's on your mind.
But like I'm just comparing to these other long shonen that I'm aware of, and no other show comes close to none of those shows. I mean, there are several shorter shows that have great characters, but when we're talking about long shonen-y type shows, like what other show that's similar to Hunter x Hunter in that respect comes close to having characters that we care about in this way?
I mean, I would say I care about the Straw Hats about as much.
I forgot One Piece I wasn't thinking about.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, I'd say FMA, One Piece, maybe JoJo.
JoJo.
Kind of, maybe not JoJo. Yeah, I'm
I
not so
wasn't really
sure.
considering Full Metal Alchemist because that's like 50 episodes, which is pretty long, but not like 150.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Yeah,
I
I mean, I
think-
think again, it's ultimately this show has, it has, like you said, consistency. Like it has this
Mhm.
ability to run for this long and never drop in quality.
Right.
I think it has almost no lows to speak of,
hmm
and its
Which
highs
is
are super fucking high.
Oh yeah.
which is funny because if I recall, like people were really at their lowest with Greed Island, at least on the Toonami side.
Yeah, I think most people dislike Greed Island in terms of their favorite arcs.
Well, at least in comparison.
Island
Yeah,
is-
I mean compared to the other arcs, it's generally people don't like Greed Island as much, but it's still a lot of fun.
the high point of
I mean,
God.
it's still fucking better than Shippuden, you know.
For example, though,
Well,
for example, though, we're talking about this relationship like between Gon and Killua, for example. If we went straight from York New to Chimera Ant,
it wouldn't work.
the concern that we see in the dynamic between those two characters without all the stuff that they basically experienced during Greed Island, it wouldn't work. I think the part about Greed Island that Crexino mentioned that kind of just doesn't click with everyone is that it's so all the card game rule stuff mixed into that is a little bit trying to keep it all straight in terms of like we're changing the rules on us and how things work and all that. So
that's
but the character stuff.
That's funny because I actually thought about this about the Raid of the King, specifically Knuckle and Shoot, of how much the show was just playing the long con of like kind of keep slowing building up to giving a shit about these characters. So when their defining moments come, it's like it becomes like some of those intense television around. Even so, these are side characters and Techland Park, but the show like really, really, really tried to like eventually make you so much. I care as much as the main characters. That's the impressive part about that.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that like the payoff sometimes comes way later. Like you have these sorts of storylines, especially when you have tons of characters, you have to dedicate time to them for us to care about them later. Some shows they try to make us care about a character that didn't have any screen time, and we just don't care later. So like when the show has like a bunch of stuff about Knuckle early on, and like you may not really realize at that point how important he will become later, type of thing, or how likable he is. Anyways, obviously, like in the big scheme of things, he may not be that important, but. Like, for example,
he's important enough.
One character, like when he was first introduced, that I didn't really give a shit about at all. Shit, his name. The guy with the smoke pipe guy in Hunter x Hunter.
Moral.
Yeah, when he's first introduced, he's just like he's just some random non-important character. Like you don't really realize
it's whatever
how significant he might be. And he's sort of got like a different, more stoic personality than a lot of the other characters. But, he's one of those that I grew a liking to in a way. He's not really like a really evolving or dynamic character, but they had to dedicate some time to him for me to actually care as much as I do. And other shows don't do that.
Right. Like they actually gave us a few different moral fights just so we can hang out with him.
And I'm not saying he's like a fantastic character or my favorite character, but it's just the way that the show actually does dedicate time to other characters. Like there were moments in the Chimera Ant arc where we didn't see Gon or Killua for several episodes at a time.
And it was still good.
The octopus. We cared about the octopus.
Octopus.
We cared about Nove.
Yeah.
We cared about Wolfen.
It's maybe
even Gyro, who we never even see. Just nothing but background.
That feels like more of a tease for future stuff. We don't know.
Yeah,
it was a funny way.
Man, speaking of
a spoiler of what the Chimera Ant arc was about, really. reflection of humanity. That just dropped out of nowhere. It's like maybe the author just had something to say at that given moment.
Well, there was that one Gyro episode that was like this backstory thing, and it sort of left off not a cliffhanger, but it wasn't conclusive at the end, and that's something they haven't really resolved yet. And we know that other people are looking for him.
Thinking about the Dark Continent as a thing they're never going to get to, and then thinking of Gyro as something even past that.
Yeah,
it's like, dude.
That's sort of a Togashi version of an Oda drop. Like, we know that this is going to be important later in the storyline. It's just unfortunately
35 years later, we've finally gotten to the Dark Continent. We're off the boat.
And yet Toonami keeps teasing the character through their breaks and turns.
I should just to kind of go slightly back on what I was saying before. Like, I don't think this cast of characters, I don't like them as much as like the characters in like Attack on Titan that we talked about earlier in this podcast. But the fact that the show doesn't focus so solely on like one or two people like Naruto and Sasuke does it favors. It makes things more believable as like a world.
Right. Like, every arc has this rotating cast where it's Gon and Killua, and then it's whoever else happens to be there at the time.
Like, I think it actually takes some guts to have like Leorio or Kurapika out of the picture for a while and then kind of bring them back in. Because that's actually a little bit more believable maybe than, I don't know,
everyone's sticking
Dragon Ball, where everybody hangs out at the same house all the time.
Yeah. Now, when I think of One Piece up to what I've seen, I feel like they're together all the time. But from what I understand, after
nowadays they're kind of like constantly in two groups.
Yeah.
So
like
I don't know.
They have been separated for a while.
Yeah. That's what I think that's actually kind of. I appreciate that because it makes the world feel bigger. Like, your characters aren't just going to be through the eyes of like one place at one time all the time.
Right. But like what they're doing now with One Piece is they're sort of split into 2 or 3 different groups, and they're put in with characters that are from the island they're on, and they sort of follow around those characters' plots, and eventually everybody sort of gets back together at the end of the arc to do the big villain punch thing.
Well, you don't know that.
Well,
it hasn't happened yet.
It's going to happen this time.
Maybe we'll see. But for what it's worth, they've been separated for a long time, and they're closer than they've ever been to being close to each other. So
I mean, they're all on the same island.
Yes. So let's review. Or let's rate it, rank it, whatever.
Yeah, finally time to review.
Yes,
we reviewed it. Let's rank it.
So what we're going to do is that everyone has had plenty of time to look at this list and determine where they individually would rank Hunter x Hunter now. Because we had already ranked it. We ranked it right after York knew. And currently that's good for number 9. So everyone think of where you would rank it now. Just type it in the chat box and don't post it yet though. And on the count of 3, we're all going to post it individually, okay?
Chat box where
on the Hangout.
Chats. Oh, okay. So, okay, I see it.
Everyone ready?
Yeah.
Good job.
Wait, hold on.
Wait, I didn't see
it. For the listeners, Seda just typed 100 into the box for some reason.
Wait, did you? I actually didn't see him type anything. What the hell? Did you see what I typed?
No.
That's why I wanted to test it.
Oh, fucking hell. It's a stupid phone thing.
See, that's why I wanted to test it. See, why are you doing it on the phone?
Okay, hang on.
Send it to me on Discord, B-dubs.
All right. Fine. Stupid thing.
All right, let's do it.
Hang on.
All right.
Wait, is this a ranking?
Yes.
So what you're gonna type it is the number you feel it should appear in the list.
Okay.
Once the countdown occurs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is everyone ready to hit? Ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Right.
All
Okay,
right.
so here's what
Okay.
we've got. I'll read
All
off the ones I can see, and then Grex, you say
Yeah.
the other two.
Great. I forgot to. I actually.
That's fine. Okay. So here's the numbers we came up with. Seda, he'll get his last. Hang on.
Discord.
Seda put 5. BB Boy 20 put 3. I put 4. Grex put 3.
B-Dubs put 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Cheater. You can't pick 2 spots.
So, well, it looks like we're pretty much decided that it's top 5.
Yes, it's within the top 5 for sure.
Okay, so here's the current top 5 without Hunter x Hunter: Cowboy Bebop, Fooly Cooly, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Space Dandy, Mob Psycho. So that's the top 5 without Hunter x Hunter. So we're saying that it seems like a lot of us put it right above Space Dandy, or above or below Space Dandy, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Or above or below. Some of you even put it at 3, I guess. Above Full Metal Alchemist.
I basically was like, I think it's the best shonen show I've ever seen. So
I think it's for me. It's equal to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I think I put it above Space Dandy because I want to give it extra props for characters and duration and quality for that duration.
Right. It also manages to have a singular story that goes on for that entire, time without sort of branching off into one shots.
So I put it in slot 5. I was the only one who did. So I guess I'm the only one who put it below Space Dandy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard comparison, I guess, because
Yeah.
obviously one's a long-running, consistent shonen, and one's just more experimental.
Grex, you're not talking into your microphone.
I forgot that I don't wear my microphone anymore. But yeah, it's like, how do we compare this 150 episode shonen versus episodic experimental weird stuff?
Yeah, so Space Dandy has more ups and downs, kind of by the nature of what type of show it is. So, but just by the group here, everyone besides me put it above Space Dandy, put Hunter x Hunter above it.
Yeah,
which I understand, because like, for example, like the first 6 episodes of Space Dandy are pretty weak, like compared to the rest of it, which is great. So maybe not as consistent, but it's a hard comparison because there's totally different types of shows.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm sorry, Watanabe.
It looks like basically it looks like it comes down to, is it above or below Brotherhood?
Yeah.
So I mean, I put it above. BB Boy put it above. C. Kohler says below. Seda says below. B-Dubs, you put down 3 numbers.
I put 2 numbers.
2 numbers.
Well, like, I kind of feel like it's the same tier.
Okay, no. B-Dubs, you don't get to be wishy-washy about this.
But
you are going to tell us right now, is it better or worse than Brotherhood?
Now we're talking about the anime only, not the manga.
Yes. Just because it's not over, I got to put it just below.
I mean, yeah, Brotherhood does have the complete and entirely satisfying story.
Yeah, like there's still like stuff going on in Hunter x Hunter, like even with the way it ended.
I feel, to me, Brotherhood handles drama better than Hunter x Hunter does. Not to say Hunter x Hunter doesn't have great drama, because it does, because the stuff with Meruem and Komugi, that was powerful stuff. The stuff with Netero, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a dramatic series, Brotherhood it's just got way more going on.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, by its nature, it being like kind of like World War II allegory kind of thing too. It's like extract the real world events during that time and extrapolate and whatever into its story. Like, sure, it's gonna definitely strive for the more dramatic side of things.
So
The fact that one is complete and one is not seems to be a, that's not really Hunter x Hunter's fault that it's not complete.
Right. It's
more
Tagashi's fault.
It's more of an ambitious world that it's building here. It's got a different scope to it than Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood has. But
it is crazy to think that Hunter x Hunter has 3 times as many episodes.
Yeah.
It has roughly a bit over twice because remember, Brotherhood is 60-something episodes.
Is it 60?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
It's
So a
64.
little more than twice.
Brotherhood felt like forever when watching that.
Old Toonami shows felt like they lasted forever, and now that I'm out of college, they're just like here and gone. That's funny.
It's weird to think Soul Eater had 50 episodes too.
Soul Eater had 60-something.
Yeah, I know, isn't that crazy? Anyway,
I never finished Soul Eater.
Well, Toonami's been on for 7 years. This version of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when I think back to Soul Eater, I don't feel like it's a long series, but it kind of was.
Mhm.
But it's nothing compared to Hunter x Hunter. So
Eureka 7 whole year.
wow.
Jeez.
So we've got more votes for below than we do above. Is that what we're going to go with?
I think the new number 4 is
That's what B-Dub
Yeah.
declared. It's his. That's his decision. He made it.
B-Dubs unilaterally made this decision.
Yeah, we can blame it on you if somebody has a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter x Hunter does not quite beat Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but it
could if there's more anime later.
I'll tell you this much: Full Metal Alchemist Brother has better openings than Hunter x Hunter.
No, honestly, like real talk, if they also adapted the next arc, it'd be above.
That's pretty high praise.
I would agree with that.
Because it's really, really good.
I do still remember people felt that Brotherhood did have too happy of an ending. That for them, it kind of squandered. Like,
I mean,
the journey that got there.
I think people were coming off 2003, and they were coming off an era where everything ended sadly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they can't. What is this? Nobody's suffering.
Yeah, it's kind of like the original one was this sort of whirlwind of despair and horrible things happening all the time. And I think that sort of colored how we look at the series.
I do have a few minor criticisms of Brotherhood, but like I do think what it does well, it does very well.
Sater just likes it because he has a brother.
I'm not to mention, like I still remember that one female character. You remember the focus most when they were trying to escape in the desert and such. The fact that you focused like a dedicated episode of her was like pretty cool.
Yeah,
I forgot her character's name. But
I can't remember this either.
I don't know what character you're talking about. Like Brotherhood has some great female characters. Like escaping a desert.
Yeah, it was part of that, and it was kind of also reminiscing her time in the war.
Riza Hawkeye.
That's not Hawkeye. It was she had brown hair and such, short.
No.
No.
Sure.
Mm-mm. No, it's a different show.
No, it's pretty sure.
Anyway, we're not talking about Full Metal Alchemist right now.
Anyway, Hunter, congratulations, Hunter x Hunter. You were number 9 on our list, but now you're number 4. And just really quick, the new top 10 is at number 10, Black Lagoon. The gatekeeper there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you can't beat Black Lagoon, you're not getting in here.
Hey, Black Lagoon is really good.
Yeah,
it is really good.
So it just seems like if
I would have it way
you
higher
can't
up.
beat Revy, you can't beat the best.
At number 9, One Piece. Come back, One Piece, we miss you. At number 8, Gurren Lagann. At number 7, One Punch Man.
If One Punch Man season 2 ever airs, that'll give us an excuse to lower it.
Yes,
Exactly.
if we don't do it ourselves someday.
Like I feel like we should at some point.
Yeah. At number 6, Mob Psycho 100. Also a show that could actually maybe go up from the second season. Maybe.
I don't know about that.
At number 5, Space Dandy. At number 4, Hunter x Hunter. At number 3, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. At number 2, Fully Cooley. And number 1 is, of course, now and forever, Cowboy Bebop.
The show that is synonymous with Toonami.
The show
Yes.
that is synonymous with good anime, to be honest.
Yeah.
In most of the
Cowboy
country.
Bebop's an anime you can show people who don't like anime.
Anyone can watch Cowboy Bebop.
Like my parents would think anime is the stupidest shit, but I think that they would probably like Cowboy Bebop.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a common thing to say that
Right.
you
It-
watch
it's-
Cowboy Bebop and every other anime you watch will be downhill.
I've never watched anime, but I have watched Miyazaki movies and Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I mean that's basically the
I
stuff.
think
you
of our
can-
top 10, Fooly Cooley is the one that is the most eyebrow raising for people because some people really, really, really love it and some people just don't see it. Like, what? I don't get
Yeah.
it. Why is it number 2?
I think honestly, I think Fully Cooley is art.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do
And
believe it.
that's
I think
art with capital ARNT.
yes. I mean, it is saying things on a deep level and showing things in ways that shows don't show things. It's artistic.
Mhm.
That's why it deserves to be number 2 in my book.
And then I guess we determined that Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the best shonen we've ever watched.
until Hunter x Hunter comes back from the grave, and
It's
Yeah.
never going to happen.
it'll happen. God damn it!
Togashi and George R. R. Martin are sitting in a room just celebrating, not doing anything, not doing any work.
Uh,
But yeah, it's late now.
So I'm just thinking next week you're going to have to rank Promise Neverland. Where is that going to rank?
I have no idea.
Honestly, I would say we use that as an excuse to lower One Punch Man
I'm liking
because I feel like it's going to wind up in that top 10, and it's going to push Black Lagoon out, and it's
Ooh, I
this. I
wouldn't
can't
say
allow that.
yeah, we
yeah.
can't have that happen.
That's not going to head of ourselves. We actually have to get
Yeah.
to next week.
You're right. Yeah, we
Hopefully
have
we
to see
survive
if
that
it
one.
sticks the landing.
Well,
Oh boy, guys, I don't want to give anything away, but man, does
I
this
think
show
it-
stick the landing?
it might.
So good.
I will predict though that there's going to be a big gap. Like when we put down these numbers next week, there's going to be a big gap between
Probably, yeah.
top and bottom.
Mhm.
Oh, some people don't like the show as much as others. What you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think we should use it as an excuse to just bring One Punch Man down to like 14.
Yeah, it's like because now
15.
One Punch Man can be used as a weird wedge where it's like, well, this show is definitely better than One Punch Man,
Right, which
but
is
it's
the
not
problem.
better than Black Lagoon.
Right, which is the problem we had with Diamond is Unbreakable is it's better than One Punch Man, but it's not better than anything else in the top 10.
So is One Punch Man a show that we're sort of self-admitting that we were caught in the spectacle of it
I
at the
think
time?
Yeah.
nothing else on
I
this
think-
list currently looks as wrong as One Punch Man.
Like One Punch Man is an interesting anti-show, like anti-hero type, whatever you call that.
It's the anti-shonen.
Yeah, kind of thing. But whatever. But like, and it's so well produced. But
Yeah.
it's not really. I don't
Like
know. It's
popcorn.
not deep, and it doesn't really.
Like
It
it's
doesn't.
up,
Its characters are kind of flat, and yeah.
Yeah.
right.
know.
Like it's up there at number
Now
7
remind
based
me.
solely on animation.
We have not ranked My Hero Academia at all yet, have we?
No.
Correct.
Or
So that's
Black Clover.
something- Well, Black Clover, who cares? It's going to be low.
Well, I mean, I want to know how far down it's going to go.
I'm saying My
like,
Hero
is it-
Academia, I mean, not to rank it now, but just like, okay, I'm just thinking ahead. Okay.
Mhm.
But we'll get to there.
So B-Dubs, C-Kohler, and Seda. Do you all agree that we should change the ranking of One Punch Man?
Yeah, well, not in this week, but yes.
I mean, we could do it now.
We
We
could
just
do
wait
it
for season
now.
2 to air.
We'll do it next week.
Okay.
Sound good?
We can make. Well, we're just making an executive decision to change it now.
We can't. We every time we look at it, we're just like, God, it's out of place. And so I think we should change it.
We could always just wait for season 2 to air.
I
That'd
don't
be,
remember it's on Hulu. I don't know if the rights are weird or not.
might be
Yeah.
weird.
Plus, we're going to have Promise Neverland ending. And I'm just thinking, where would Sword Art Online go after this season?
Let's just do it later.
I can
Like-
say that Sword Art Online should be moved down at least.
Like
Wait,
how?
remind me,
how
is Sword Art
much-
Online all just lumped together as
Yes.
one ranking?
Well, like how much further down would it move though? Are we talking like below Unicorn?
We don't know yet, dude.
We don't
It's
know.
you're
Okay,
talking
that's
about
why
like
we'll
a
rank it later.
conversation that's going to take like
Time
half an
Yes,
hour.
yes.
Go to
Hey,
bed.
B-dubs. There's a chance in the next couple of weeks that Sword Art Online might get really good.
Oh my god!
What if it
No.
sticks the landing, Vita?
Oh, you.
Maybe she'll
Take
put
it
on
100%
clothes. Hey, you
seriously.
never know.
If I'm just saying that if a robot comes up, I'm just saying that if a robot is like, I am Kayaba, then it goes all the way up to like 10.
Yes, if Kayaba shows up, I will say we move it up 2 spots.
It's almost like if Bleach had gone through with just having like like hundreds of chapters wiped out because it was all ice and Bonkai. That's so ridiculous and ballsy that it's like this is like even classifying this on a traditional scale of good and bad is irrelevant because it's so ridiculous.
Like, no, at that point it would have to go like way up, just because that is art. What
That
you described.
Yeah. It's time to
And now I'm
stop.
thinking.
Oh, go ahead.
I was now just thinking of that supernatural gif or that video scene or moment where the brother's like, "This is anime," you know, meme thing.
I don't think I've seen that.
No, it's the guy's looking at hentai and is like, dude, that's cartoon porn. It's like, no, it's art.
Excuse me. It's called hentai.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it's like from that comic called like Anime Club.
Anyways,
No, it's from a scene from The Office.
No,
But whatever.
Yeah.
It's time to go to bed, people.
I haven't had dinner yet.
me
Well,
either.
You're 3 hours behind
it's
us.
8 o'clock where you are, Seda. That's a
Yeah.
late dinner, but it's still regular dinner time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been fun. Thank you, B-dubs.
Okay.
Get some sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, C-Kohler.
No problem.
Thank you, Seda.
Do it all again next week.
Thank you, BB Boy 20.
Guess we'll keep hunting for our dreams.
Yep.
You can now smile.
We'll see you guys next week for episode 157, where we will review and rank The Promised Neverland. I have a feeling you don't want to miss it. I think it's going to get pretty intense.
We'll see.
Good night, everyone.